The NASCAR Nationwide Series Camping World 300 is brought to you by Camping World, the official RV and outdoor retailer of NASCAR. Dave & Buster's Eat and Play Combo, Eat, Drink, Play. And Colonial Life making benefits count. Fans have been filing into this speedway since early this morning, and now they're just a couple of moments away from the command stands to get today's Camping World 300 underway here at Daytona International Speedway. Let's go down to the grid and get some final stories to watch for before this green flag. We start with Jamie Little.
Well, Alan, something for us to watch and the fans at home today. Drivers using hand signals. Why? Because we're at a restrictor plate track. These cars are running at high speeds in tight packs. It's not always easy for the drivers behind them to know they're going to make a move. So what do? They wear gloves. And if you're Dale Earnhardt Jr., you're wearing an all-white glove. So the drivers can see you. You're making hand signals saying, hey, I'm pulling down to pit right now. They know behind, and hopefully it'll keep Dale Jr. and the other drivers wearing white gloves out of trouble. Shannon?
Well, Jamie, there's some changes down here on pit road this season in the Nationwide Series and the Cup Series. I recruited Chris here, the tire carrier, the rear tire carrier for the 29 team, to demonstrate what that change is, specifically with the tires. So when the team comes over here and they change the right side tires, in the past, this is what they were able to do with the tire. They were able to roll it back to the wall, lose control of it around the front of the car. Now, these teams actually have to stay in control of this tire until it gets halfway to the car. We'll let Chris go ahead and show you. So he actually doesn't have to hold the tire, just has to stay in control of it. Now that is a rule, so the guys will get penalized if they don't do it. The penalty under green is a pass-through, and under caution is the tail end of the longest line. Spoke with some teams. They've been working on it in the offseason. They said it does not affect their time, and look for some quick pit stops, even with this new rule down here on pit road. Alan?
All right, in the minute or so before we start the engines, let's go upstairs and bring in the man who'll call the action for us on our ESPN NASCAR coverage this year, Dr. Jerry Punch, alongside champion crew chief Andy Petrie.
Thank you very much, Alan. You know, Dale Jarrett on his way up here in the pit studio, and while he's on his way, we'll chat for just a moment. You know, it's Andy, you look at the starting grid, and there's a couple of areas that bear watching. Up front in rows 2 and 3, there are a couple of relatively inexperienced stock car drivers like Dario Franchitti and Brian Clausen. What are the concerns?
Well, there's only 3 rookies in this race, but 2 of them are starting up there in the front, like you said. It's Dario Franchitti and Brian Clausen. The other veteran drivers are going to be looking at these guys, giving them plenty of room. Even though they've experienced the draft in the practice settings, haven't experienced the start of a race like this. So they're going to be on their toes, and hopefully they'll stay out of trouble early.
Yeah, who are we kidding, Andy? You know, when the green flag waves, a lot of eyes are going to be focused on the middle part of the pack where some of the hitters are, like series champion Carl Edwards and NASCAR's Tiger Woods, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Folks, it won't take those guys long to move toward the leaderboard early on here in this 300-mile race. NASCAR's finest strapped in, getting set for the season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. As we get set to go down trackside for the words all these fans have been waiting for all winter long.
Race fans, please welcome back today's Grand Marshal, CEO of Camping World, Mr. Marcus Lemonis, as he delivers those most famous words in motorsports.
On behalf of 8 million RVers nationwide and Camping World's 5,000 employees, gentlemen, start your engines!
Engines have fired. 43 of NASCAR's finest getting set to battle here for 300 miles, 120 laps. Largest purse in NASCAR Nationwide Series history, $2.64 million up for grabs on what is a beautiful afternoon. Gorgeous day here at the World Center of Racing. They've been coming here since 1959. Tomorrow, the 50th of Daytona 500. There are 17 drivers in today's field who will also do double duty and be racing here on Sunday. As the cars are set to roll, let's check in on pit road with Mike Massaro.
Well, Doc, when it comes to racing here in Daytona, something you don't usually think about is brakes. That's because they're seldomly used on this 2.5-mile super speedway. Still, brake management could play a deciding role in today's race. That's because drivers need to be real careful to build up some heat before they hit pit road for their first pit stop. If they don't, we've seen several problems. One, sometimes teams lock up their brakes at the entrance of pit road. That leads to flat spotting their 4 tires, which can sometimes ruin a scheduled 2-tire pit stop and get into a 4-tire pit stop. But perhaps even worse than that, if they don't build up enough heat and they jam on the brakes, they can scorch their brake system and glaze the brake rotor. That will lead to them sliding right through their pit stall, and that's certainly a break no driver needs if they hope to go to victory lane today in Daytona. Dave?
Well, Mike, you've heard the phrase, what's here stays here. Well, that does not apply to Daytona. When you do something great here at Daytona, the whole world knows about it, and you can't stop talking about it. That's because the sport was born here, and that's why these teams put so much pressure on themselves here to win. From the driver on the track to the crews over the wall to the eye in the sky, the spotter who sees it all, you bring your best to Daytona. What happens here stays with you for life. Doc, to you.
Thanks, guys. So many great drivers here. We talked about the fact there are 8 former NASCAR Nationwide Series champions, 3 former Cup champions. In-race reporter Kevin Harvick, who pulled off the Daytona double here just 1 year ago. Kevin Harvick wins.
Side by side, right to the line. Here they come, checkered flag.
Great crowd on hand. Welcome you back to the Camping World 300 presented by Chevy here at Daytona. We are just moments away from the start of this race, and yes, 3-time Daytona 500 winner Dale Jarrett has officially made it upstairs. So DJ, officially welcome to the family.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate it. Looking forward to it. We have a great race for you fans today, so get you a good seat.
All right, let's take a look at the starting grid, guys. Up front, Tony Stewart, 2-time former Cup Series champion, on the pole. Beside him, another one of those double-duty drivers, Clint Boyer, starting second. Now, our in-race reporter won this race a year ago. Kevin Harvick, he started way back in 31st spot. He starts 9th today in the Camping World Chevrolet. Let's talk to Kevin.
Kevin, Jarrett, the ESPN. You copy?
Sure, Dale, go ahead.
Kevin, you've made the move over to your own team now as the driver. What are your plans for the rest of the year with that? And how about today? Do you have a car that can win this race?
I think the car has been really good through practices. Obviously, the conditions were so much different that a little bit nervous as to where the balance is going to go, but we'll fix that on the first stop. But looking forward to the challenge this year of just doing something that I do for fun here on Saturdays, and everybody that's participating from Camping World to Ream, Road Loans, everybody involved. Going to be a lot of fun to see it progress and grow and run about 22 races. So going to be a fun year.
Okay, Kevin, have fun, and we'll talk to you throughout the race.
Guys.
His crew chief, Wally Rogers, has already won here with 2 other drivers, Randy LaJoie and Tony Stewart. Let's visit with Wally.
Hey, Walter, Andy Petrie up here. You got a copy?
Told me you were going to call me that.
That's okay. Hey, Wally, you know, there's a lot of people that would love to be in your spot right now on top of that pit box to call this race. Tell everybody what it feels like.
Well, Andy, we've been sitting around for about 2.5 months caged up in the shop, so I pretty much feel like a caged lion. I'm ready to go.
What kind of decisions are you going to have to make down there to give Kevin a shot at this?
Well, you know, like Kevin said earlier, our balance. You know, we just want to make sure our balance is right. And if it's off a little bit, you know, we'll fix it this first stop.
You know, we've had some tire issues in the Cup Series and some in the trucks. Are you guys worried about that at all today?
No, I haven't been too worried. We, you know, we run about 45 laps on them the other day, and they looked really good, so I'm pretty confident about it.
Okay, Wally, you guys have a great race.
Thanks, AP.
Wally Rogers calling the shots for last year's winner, Kevin Harvick. 9 high-definition onboard cameras will be giving you rides with all different viewpoints today. Johnny Sauter starts 40th at Miccosukee Indian Resorts Chevrolet. Clint Boyer in the number 2 car starts 2nd, the BB&T Chevy. Mike Wallace 22nd, the Geico Toyota this year. Geico Toyota, it's easy for me to say. Starting 17th, Matt Kenseth starts 14th in the Ritz Ford. Scott Wimmer starts 29th, the Holiday Inn Chevrolet. We've already mentioned with Kevin Harvick. Jason Leffler starts 3rd, the Fresh from Florida Toyota. Cale Gale starts 39th, the Ream Chevrolet. And David Rudeman starts 18th in the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. Now, we all know who the favorites are, but what about the sleepers today? Somebody who just might sneak up on them, guys. Who are the sleepers you're looking at to possibly have a shot to pull it off?
Well, we know we're going to be watching all these heavy hitters like Tony Stewart and those guys up front, but one to watch right now is that 7 car, that Toyota we just talked about, Mike Wallace. I think he could be a sleeper today. He knows how to get around this track, and he's a great drafter.
Yeah, you didn't go out on the limb too much there, big guy. Yeah, you know,
okay.
He's one here and runs
that probably wasn't too
but
far
a
out
good
there.
choice. No, that is a great choice. But I'm going to go with a young man racing here his first time, but he's got great equipment and he had a good teacher, Brad Keselowski. I think that 88 car is going to drive well for him, and I think that he has enough patience to want to do this, but just enough energy to make him want to get up there and try to win this race.
It's going to be fun to watch.
Should be fun.
Brad Keselowski, brand new colors. They call it the dress whites for the Navy team. And that is the car, by the way, that led the most laps in this race a year ago with Kyle Busch aboard. Our race analysis, it is a 300-mile event, 120 laps on a 2.5-mile racetrack. Pit road speed 55 miles an hour, and the fuel and pit window a little bit of a guessing game here, Andy.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. We just talked to Wally Rogers and said he could go 45 laps on the tires. That's going to take him close to a full fuel stop, so we'll see how that goes as the race progresses.
All right, guys, you're on the pit box, Andy. DJ, you've buckled in this car. You've been here so many times. You ran the very first one here in '82. What's a driver thinking about right now?
Right now, they've got a lot of butterflies. They're a little bit anxious. This is the first race, and the biggest thing that they're concerned about right now, yeah, it is their biggest race. They've got a new series sponsor. They've thought about all of that stuff. The biggest thing is, last time they were in these race cars, in race-type conditions, it was a very cool, fast racetrack. Now they've got temperatures up to close to 80 degrees. The racetrack itself is probably 30 degrees hotter, so they're not exactly sure what their car is going to do. So they're a little bit nervous right now.
And the crew chiefs are sitting up there waiting on that first input they get from the driver to know how to set that car and what they need to do to make changes. But I'm sure these drivers are going to be screaming a little bit. That track's warmed up today.
Yeah, that first time they hear anything, it's probably going to be a high-pitched voice.
We talked about the inexperience up front. Dario Franchitti, last year's Indy 500 winner, but his first time on a super speedway in a NASCAR stock car race here at Daytona.
Yeah, this is he's getting ready to get some fast learning in a hurry, but he's a smart enough man and racer that he knows his limitations here. He knows that he doesn't have the experience to be right there in fourth right now. I look for him to just kind of get settled in, whether it's back in 20th or 25th, and get some laps under him. But he has a fast race car, and it'll be interesting as we get to the end of this to see exactly what he can do with it.
All right, guys, championship all starts here. Let's have fun with this.
10-4, buddy. Just let us know what you need out there, and we'll get you fixed up, and that championship will be ours.
Already talking championship. First of 35 races, 26 racetracks at 20 different states and 3 countries. We're going to Mexico again. We're going to Canada. Folks, history tells us that the 2 most treacherous and exciting laps in a race are the first and the last, because anything can happen. So we invite you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy as 43 of NASCAR's finalists are about to turn it loose. As we told you at the top of the show, only one of them is going to take it home as a winner. Crowd of over 100,000 on their feet as they come down. Getting set, Tony Stewart leading him down, and the green flag waves. The 2008 NASCAR nationwide season is underway.
It's like Tony Stewart got a big jump there. I think it kind of shows what kind of power is under the hood of those Toyotas.
Yeah, but he might have get a little further out there than what he wanted to, because these guys with this drafting package that they have on these cars, the aero package, they're going to come back in a hurry and go right by him if he's not careful.
Yeah, here comes the cavalry on the outside now with Clint Boyer leading.
Jason Leffler led the very first 2 laps of this race a year ago in a Toyota. Let's see if he can do it now. He's side by side with Boyer. They are 3 wide back for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, it took them all 3/4 of a lap to get 3 wide. Imagine that.
Right now the tires are good. The cars are handling pretty well. After they run a few laps on this hot track, I think these cars are going to start sliding around a little bit. So this is an opportunity for these guys to grab some spots early.
Look at that, 4th through 15th. They are 3-3-3-3. Great competition early on.
You see that 88 car right there on the bottom of the racetrack. He's got his teammate right behind him, Dale Jr., in that 5 car. Look for these guys to start moving up.
Yeah, that's a good spot for Brad to be in right now because he knows he's got a guy behind him that's going to be looking after him. But he's also got that help if he decides he sees a hole that he wants to go in.
Yeah, but if he makes a mistake, his boss is going to have a good view of it.
The sleeper you picked there a moment ago, the 7 of Mike Wallace, also there in the fray. There's Mike making a move up right behind the 17 car of Kenseth. More on Keselowski with Dave.
And I talked with his crew chief, Tony Uri Sr. this morning, guys, about Brad's learning curve as far as drafting goes. And Pop said he's still learning, and that's a quote. In the testing earlier this year at this track, Brad spent most of the time doing single car runs in this primary car, making sure this car was fast for the race. But then late in the testing session, they took out their backup car and then let Brad and Junior and others who would go out and have some drafting practice. A car they didn't mind wrecking for his practice. But yet this week, still working on it. Pop says he's got a ways to go. And obviously, as you said, he's got a good teacher in his boss, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Thank you, Dave. A couple of Toyotas up front, the 20 of Tony Stewart, 38 of Jason Leffler. Then comes a 33, last year's winner, Kevin Harvick. More on Tony Stewart from Mike.
Well, Doc, Dave just talked a little bit about the learning process of the draft here in Daytona. Well, the guy out front, Tony Stewart, he's the guy giving some lessons. I spoke with his crew chief, Dave Rogers, this morning. He said one thing that really impressed him about Tony this week was the way he practiced. During practice, he said he didn't like the way that other cars could side draft. They could really slow his car down, but he said he did discover some things that he can use against his competition throughout the afternoon. He wouldn't, of course, tell me what those were, of course.
They're not going to give away the secrets, EJ.
Well, no, they've worked hard to figure all of that out, so he's not going to give that away. We see Kyle Busch moving into second in his Toyota. Yeah, I saw him get right on the bumper of Jason Leffler. It looked like he got Jason a little bit loose off that the second corner, and now he's running up there to try to get with his teammate.
Yeah, we saw that 33 car, Kevin Harvick, jump on the outside off turn 2 to try to lead that outside line up through there, but it's not working too good for him. Looks like Tony Stewart got a little advantage off that corner.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to experiment a little, and especially the guys that are racing in the Sprint Cup cars, they're going to have to forget what they've done up to this point because they can now go back and race in the middle. With the Cup cars that we have right now, you can't do that. That's not where you want to be. It's back to a different type of racing. But with this aero package, you can run up through the middle of these and really make some ground.
For you Steve Grissom fans, the number 90 car is headed to the garage area early as we watch Kevin Harvick on the outside try to make a move. Let's check in his pits with Jamie.
Well, Doc, he's certainly on the move. He started 9th. He moved his way up. He's getting help right now from his Richard Childress racing teammate and Clint Boyer. They're working together, although they really are competitors right now. As we've talked about, Kevin Harvick in his own car. He has never won driving for his own team. Doc?
Thank you, Jamie. You talk about making moves here in the first 6 laps. How about the Rusty Wallace Incorporated cars? David Strimmy has gained 26 positions. He's in the 64 car. There's Strimmy in the middle of your screen. Right behind him, young Stephen Wallace, learning from the veteran, following his teammate in the 66.
It's a good spot for Stephen to be in right here, following David Strimmy. You can see they're working up on this 40 car, Dario Franchitti. And here goes Steven now trying to go by his team. I believe I'd stay behind Strimmy if I was him.
Yeah, David Strimmy is a really good race driver. And I think he's got a lot to prove coming into this. And I think it's a perfect opportunity for him. And Steven could learn a lot just by following him up through there, being patient. But I think that's what Steven's doing right now, getting his car where he feels like that he's comfortable with it. But I know Rusty has to be down there smiling right now to see his cars moving up.
Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, David Strimmy, I talked to his crew chief, Steve Darn, before the race. He told me to just watch that car. He said that they've had a lot of bad luck so far this week. In practice, they were involved in the wreck. They had to replace some parts on that car. And, of course, they had a transmission trouble yesterday in qualifying. He told me, you know, we have a fast car. We just haven't been able to show it. So he knew that they were going to come up here and move through the field. And, of course, David Strimmy started in the back of the field, and he is doing just that, moving his way through currently at 17th. Mike?
And David Stremmy's teammate Stephen Wallace experienced some of those similar problems as well. Had to change carburetors because it wasn't taking air in the way they would like. The car was not sucking up and was very sluggish. But you mentioned David Strimmy, how he has something to prove. Certainly Stephen Wallace does as well. He told me that last year entering the season, he felt like Superman, but was humbled. Ended the season with 0 top 10 finishes. If you look at the dashboard today, you'll see a sticker that simply says smart, reminding him not to do anything out of question and make sure that he does the smart thing in the draft.
Thanks, guys. Stephen Wallace trying to hold on to 19th position, under attack right now from the 88 car. Whoa! Keselowski gets the back of that car out of shape and gathers it back in. Nearly got a little rub on that white concrete.
And we're getting to that point of the race where that track's starting to get slick off turn 2. That's the first place you're going to see these cars sliding around is off that turn.
Single file up front. A lot of passing back in the pack, and this one almost cost Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, you're trying to stay in the gas right there on that high line, but there's not a lot of grip up there. You got some wheel into the car, and all of a sudden you're losing the back end. Probably got his attention. I'm sure the next time he's up there that he'll be a little bit more careful for a lap or two.
I bet his heart stopped.
We'll let his heart rate come back down, and we'll take a quick break and come back while Brad Keselowski continues to try to make his march to the front, right in front of his car owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Tony Stewart, our leader, early on. Back with more from Daytona in just a moment. We welcome you back to Daytona, the Camping World 300. Season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Beautiful day here in Daytona. Great crowd on hand and seeing quite a show here early on. 3 Toyotas up front. Tony Stewart, his teammate Kyle Busch, and Brian Vickers out of the Todd Braun Racing Stables. Vickers, a former series champion here in the 10 car. Behind them, a couple of Chevrolets, the 8 of Martin Truex Jr. and last year's winner, Kevin Harvick. The first Dodge, by the way, is the 9 car. Casey Kane has moved now all the way up to 6th position.
I think this type of racing is something that Casey is really coming kind of into his own. I think the first couple of times that he was here, he wasn't exactly sure what he wanted to do and what he wanted to accomplish, but he's found that feeling that he knows how to use the draft a lot better, and he's becoming a lot more competitive. There's my 88 car making his way up towards the front.
Yeah, we showed you a little bit ago. He had his hands full coming out of turn 4, trying to hold off the likes of Stephen Wallace for the pass. Well, a lap later, his boss, Earnhardt Jr. on the back, and watch again in turn 4.
He's driving it hard. There's no doubt about that. Goes on and makes the pass there with his boss helping him. So if he's trying to impress him, he's doing a pretty good job so far. But it looks like he might be just a little bit on the free side there. Yeah, that might be something in trying to run the same setup that Junior has, but he might not be ready for that yet. I mean, you know, Junior has figured out exactly how far he can take it with his setup here. So Brad might have to adjust on that a little bit, but he's doing a great job.
A lot of these guys will set their cars up fairly loose or free where that back end slides like that, because later in these runs, that right front tire starts giving up on them and starts pushing. So, you know, the veteran drivers like Earnhardt, they can handle that. They can handle the loose car till the track does change or that tire wears. But, boy, she's a handful.
Yeah, Earnhardt Jr., the 5 car, was behind him. Now he's made the pass and moved on around. He's being shown up in 16th position and trying to make a move around the 1 car. Has had a pretty good start.
You know what he's found? He's found that outside groove, and he's about 3 feet higher than any cars running through those corners. I think he's found a little grip up there.
Yeah, the best way to go forward is go where nobody is, and he's doing exactly that. Nobody's up there where he is. He keeps such momentum going like that, and you know he has a really good knack of being able to drive a car and not give it a lot of wheel, and that's what you're doing there. So, and as you well know, as you tell the drivers all the time, you don't turn that wheel because you're just scrubbing off speed, and he can carry a lot of momentum from there.
Dave Burns, you can add?
Yeah, and DJ, I think he scrubbed off with just a little bit of speed along the way here somewhere because he described his car in 2 different ways. He said fun to drive, that was the first part, and then dirt tracking, which means the back end got out a little bit on this 2.5-mile oval.
Well, that's the thing. He probably is just as loose as that 88 car, Brad or Keselowski, but he's not showing it. He's not taking it over that edge.
Well, yeah, what you saw was Brad. He's a little bit off the wall, so he's got to put a little bit more wheel into it, and in doing that, he's going to break the back end loose a little bit more. So those are things that he'll learn as we go through this race in particular day. But there again, these guys are seeing track temperatures 30 degrees higher than what they saw in practice. So that I'm sure that's contributing to a lot of it.
What about last year's series champion, Carl Edwards? We talked again at the beginning of the show. He's going to run for the title again this year. He started the 60 car back in 26th position. He is now being shown in 24th, only gained a couple of spots here in 17 laps.
I don't know that he's really concerned about that right at this point. Even though the race has gotten spread out a little bit more than what we are typically used to here, I think Carl's still okay. You know, they got no practice after the accident that they were in with this car. I'm sure he was just filling things out.
I'm not surprised at all that these cars have spread out some, because like you said, starting the race, this track has changed so much since they last practiced that they really don't know what kind of handle they got on their cars.
Yeah, Dale mentioned the accident. If your folks aren't aware, in the final practice session, Carl Edwards involved in an incident not of his own doing, but the whole right side sheet metal had to be replaced on his car he is driving today. Well, speaking of driving away, that 20 car Tony Stewart, I mean, you knew he was tough. He put up a great number in qualifying. He put it on the pole, and he has won here twice. His only 2 wins in nationwide competition have come, guess where? Right here in 2005 and 2006. Stewart, Busch, Truex, Vickers, and Boyer in the top 5. We welcome you back to the Camping World 300 at Daytona. Aerial coverage from high above Daytona International Speedway, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. Get there on triple tread technology. 21 of 120 laps complete. 4 Toyotas in the top 6 as now Denny Hamlin joins the fray. And one of the early casualties here at Daytona is the 64 car. There is David Strimmy. Oh, he came all the way from the back of the pack. Strimmy started 41st, gained 24 positions in the first 10 laps, and now is headed to the garage area.
We saw him come down pit road with smoke coming out the exhaust pipes. The crew raised the hood to see if they could fix it, but looks like this thing might be terminal for David.
Plans on running the full season in that 64. The car does. He's going to run 18 to 20. They're going to put Chase Austin in it, the young driver from the NASCAR East Series.
David went out to qualify yesterday, broke a transmission. I don't know if this engine failure might be related to that.
Speaking of David Strimmy, Jamie Little is caught up with him.
And he's still in the car as the team goes to work. David, what happened?
Well, yesterday we had a transmission problem, and the motor, it hit our high RPMs, and they checked everything this morning and thought it would be okay, but we dropped a cylinder or something, and it's real unfortunate because Datris Home Chevrolet was pretty good, just like it was in practice, and we were just kind of found a spot to ride in until we could pit, and it's just a shame. So we'll see if they can fix whatever it is, which I doubt it, and get back out there.
All right, David Strimmy making his first start for Rusty Wallace. Too bad for Stephen Wallace, guys. He doesn't have his drafting partner out there.
He does not, and Jamie, we've got a new leader out here as the 18 car. Teammate to Tony Stewart pulls by, and Kyle Busch goes sailing by with Martin Truex in tow.
I think this is definitely a sign of the track's getting real slick. Tony's been running the bottom of the racetrack. No problem leading the race, and I think once that thing started sliding a little bit, he wanted to go and try a different groove, and when he did that, it just kind of opened it up for this 18 car to go by.
Yeah, I think this part of that, and you know, Tony may want to get back there and say, okay, if I can't lead every lap of this race, I need to see exactly what my car is going to do. So before we get to that point of making a pit stop, do I need to make any kind of adjustments? I know I'm good out front. What do I need to do if I'm behind cars?
Would you do that? I mean, just to give up the lead to go back there and play with your car a little bit?
Yeah, I was just kind of stretching that a little bit, and knowing Tony Stewart, that's not what happened either. It just, you know, it sounded good for a minute. Yeah.
We saw how the effects of 2 cars working together allowed them to go past Tony Stewart. Let's show you with the air exactly how that works in the draft with our draft track.
Now we see Bobby Labonte there in that 21. He's leading Matt Kenseth. You see, once they get close enough, they go into that lock where you see it goes just solid white. What does that feel like?
Yeah, like you just gave me about 50 horsepower is exactly what it feels like. I mean, that's what you're looking for, and that's why you see these guys run up to that car in front, and they make 2 cars make a smaller hole there. That air is not coming around and creating problems for them. And now we can see what this dirty air will do. Looks like these guys might need some more bracing in their hood. This is really not a good situation. We try to make everything on these race cars stay as still as possible, especially in the front, right?
That looks very violent. Yeah, we do try to make that just as solid as you can make it. But can you feel that kind of buffeting in the hood?
You know, I don't know that you can really feel that as a driver, but I think what it's doing is that, you know, it's making that air attach and then have to reattach back. And so you're not getting the full force. But, you know, a lot of times what we're trying to do is keep that air off the spoiler. That might be something by design that they happen to run upon.
We've tried some crazy things in the wind tunnel before, letting panels move around. That could be something that they found.
How far back can you actually, as a driver, begin to feel the aid of the draft?
you know, with the aero package that these guys have, because they're making such a big hole, because they run the wicker across the front of the roof there, you can actually be back about 6 or 8 car lengths, and you really can start feeling your RPMs pick up. And that's with no help behind you. If you get some help behind you, you can even you can feel it from literally 20 car lengths back, and you can see it and feel it start picking you up.
So Buddy Baker was right in the old days, said if you could see him, you can draft him.
That's exactly right. You know, when we're down here testing and things, if we can see another car, we're a little bit skeptical as to whether that lap was exactly what we had or not, because you can get some help.
I like this telemetry right here. We could hear Clint Boyer having to get completely out of the gas there for a minute to get his car to settle down. And now Tony Stewart has slipped back to 5th spot and getting ready to lose another spot here to Clint Boyer. This is when these guys have to earn their money when this track gets slick.
Yeah, this is, again, totally different than the conditions they practiced under. So these guys, as glad as they probably are right now, and I know you fans watching would want us to be having side-by-side close racing all the time, these guys are kind of happy that they've got some room to work right now until they can make that first pit stop, and then we're going to see exciting racing before this is all over with.
I'd rather see them all over each other. 3 wide, 4 deep.
All right, let's find out what's going on with Tony Stewart. Let's head down to Mike Massaro.
Well, guys, it's caught the attention of their team as well. Dave Rogers, the crew chief, radioed Tony Stewart to ask him about his tires, in particular the right front. Tony said, no, that tire is fine. The problem is the car has gotten real tight. It's forced him to lift in the corners. He right now is exploring different lines through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, trying to help himself out, but right now struggling with a very tight race car. Jamie?
And that's exactly what we're hearing from Clint Boyer. He's saying tight. But his crew chief, Dan Deeringhoff, told me they planned for this hot weather. Remember, in happy hour, it was about 45 degrees on the track. It's about 105 right now. The track is changing a lot. Clint Boyer's saying he's tight. They're going to fix him up. They're thinking about lap 43. They're going to make their first stop. Doc?
About 14 or 15 laps away from that first scheduled green flag stop. And as the pit stops begin to near, we'll take a break and come back. It is Kyle Busch who led the most laps in both of the NASCAR nationwide races here a year ago. He's leading right now with Truex, Vickers, Hamlin, and Stewart in the top 5.
ESPN's live coverage of NASCAR from the Daytona International Speedway continues tomorrow. Our Daytona 500 preview edition of NASCAR now, 10 a.m. Eastern time on ESPN2, and our Daytona 500 wrap-up tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Then Monday night, 6 o'clock Eastern time, our Daytona 500 roundtable. All that upcoming on ESPN and ESPN2. Kyle Busch, the race leader, Toyota out in front with the Chevy of Martin Truex Jr. just behind. Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty looking at the early stage of the race. What are we seeing so far?
Right now, I'm watching the handling on a lot of these cars go away big time. In fact, it looks like a lot of the cars are getting real tight. Sliding the front ends are getting really spread out. Remember, folks, this is the hottest it's been down here in Daytona for these Nationwide Series cars, so they've really got to adjust to the handling conditions right now, but they're dying to get that first pit stop in, make some adjustments, Alan, and get these things back handling again.
Since the start of the race, I'm looking at guys on the move. Look at Johnny Sauter. I mean, he's up 26 positions, along with Bobby Hamilton Jr., who's up 18. David Gilliland, he's up 20 positions. So there's some cats really starting to move forward, but they are spread out in various packs, just like Rusty said.
Just a few laps away from a set of green flag pit stops, unless we see a quick yellow. The leader, Kyle Busch, radioing back and forth with his team about the condition of his car.
I'll take a little bit of tape, whatever you can do to make this thing less draggy. Give me some more stuck up.
20 flip the switch, or is just playing possum, but you two are driving away.
No, it's not driving. 20 is tight and then loose.
10-4, he's dropping pretty quickly.
20, his teammate Tony Stewart, who led much of the early going, now back in 6th place. So what might we see on this upcoming set of pit stops? Let's go to our Chevy Cutaway car. Tim Brewer, give us a little explanation.
Hey, Alan, what we did this morning on our Chevrolet Cutaway car, we took just a little bit of tape off because we knew it was going to be real hot. We messed up the balance a little bit. So the first pit stop, we're going to put a little bit of tape back on here, get some of that downforce, going to lower the drag on the car, so the car's going to stick to the front end. Even better, lower drag numbers, going to make the car run faster. Alan?
Fine balance there. Get the downforce with the tape. Don't overheat the car on this hot day. This is a tough call these crew chiefs have to make. And then watch for the guy coming across the front of the car on the pit stops trying to make that tape stick.
There'll be a lot of guys negotiating whether they want to put more tape on or not. If the engines are running cool, they can do that. And just like Tim said, make the front end stick and everything get better. But a lot of these guys are probably going to get a little hotter. Hey, take a look at Clint Boyer's car. His air hose on top of his helmet has come loose. And I don't know if he can get that thing back on. He's reaching for it back there because he's getting warm inside the car. I believe he's just going to have to deal with that problem right now, guys.
Yeah, it fell down behind him, and they're not going to be able to get that unless they give up a lot of track position on a caution flag pit stop. So going to be a hot day for Clint Boyer for a while, Doc.
Alan, the hottest day we have had all week long, and now one of the championship contenders for the season has an issue. Now watch the top of his helmet.
You see it's attached real well right there, but they just popped off. Yeah. They didn't have it taped on there. They don't want to secure it too good because you can't get out of the car.
That's right. Yeah, you can't tape those on, but it maybe instead of over that bar, it should look like it because of the vibration and the bouncing of the car that it finally just came off of there. And Clint's reaching for that. This is the first time they've been in the car this season. It's the hottest day that we've had. You have it. You try to condition yourself for that heat, but there's nothing like being inside that race car. If it's 80 degrees outside with the air temperature, you can add at least 50 degrees inside of that. So it's a minimum of 130. So
Check my brake pedal. I haven't needed easy yet. I wonder if I even have any.
Well, they're going to find out here in a minute as we get ready to make green flag pit stops. And that's going to be something else that's going to separate these guys a lot as we see our leaders getting ready to hit pit road right now.
You saw Kyle Busch waving out that left side window, indicating to the cars behind him he was coming on pit road. Truex and Busch, others coming down 55 miles an hour. Let's go down to Shannon Spake.
Well, that's right. Kyle Busch pulls into his pit stall. Those guys go to work on the car. You heard him say he needs a little less drag. He said the car was great, make no changes, and then he said, you know what? Let's go down on the track bar just a little bit as Jason Radcliffe looks on. Back over to Dave.
Two-time nationwide champ Martin Truex Jr. comes down for 4 tires and fuel. The car was mostly loose, he said, but sliding around a lot. That's been his biggest complaint during this first run this afternoon. Right sides are on, left sides are on. No chassis adjustments for him. Jason Leffler in as well. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick said he's tight. He wanted an air pressure adjustment in those rear tires only. He's telling the team what he wants. They dropped the gas can, and Kevin Harvick's down and away.
Everyone asking for different kinds of adjustments. 38 car on pit road. That's Leffler. He's coming off. 1 car, Johnny Sauter. Almost contact with the 4 car, Robert Richardson Jr.
He's sitting in Matt Kenseth's pit area. He's going to have to back up and get into his pit. Just about had a collision right here with Johnny Sauter ready to go out. This cost Johnny a little bit of time.
Yeah, this literally looked like we had a caution flag. Everybody coming on the pit road at the same time. You usually don't see that. Obviously, these guys don't want to lose the draft. They want to have some drafting help as they go. As we see Casey Kane. Jamie, you have something there?
That's right. Hearts are racing. DJ, it's the first stop of the year. Casey Kane, 4 tires. He said nobody can get through the corners as well as I can. He's happy with his car. He's down and away.
Dave?
And the 5-car Junior is on pit road as well. Said the car was fun earlier, neutral now with this race car, so they'll just put 4 tires and fill it full of fuel for Junior.
Well, here's a funny way to park in your pit stall. He's going to have to back this car up to get out. Brad Coleman is. He must have had somebody in the pit behind him. We see.
Back him up. All right, go.
Well, that's a killer right there.
All the way out, all the way out, all the way. 3,800, go.
And the other thing about, we were talking about what adjustments these guys wanted to make on their cars. You make these green flag pit stops, you don't have much time. You've got less than 15 seconds to really make any adjustments.
We see Stanton Barrett right here. His crew's pushing him well more than 3 pits that they're allowed. So probably going to see a penalty come from NASCAR.
Hey, Dave, Carl Edwards headed to you.
Yep, and his teammate David Reagan at the same time so they can head back out together. These guys will change 4 tires and make an air pressure adjustment for Carl. He's been mostly tight on this run and hanging back pretty much of his own accord. Vision as well as they pull a tear off his windshield as well. Reported oil on his windshield earlier.
See him holding for a second to try to top it off with that Sunoco fuel. You know, interesting, you spend millions of dollars in research to get speed in these cars, and a $4 roll of tape with an inch of tape can add more downforce and speed than anything else you've
There's
done.
more speed in a roll of tape than anything I can think of you can spend money on a race car.
The new NASCAR rule is you're only allowed to push a car 3 pit stalls and no more. That team pushed This team here for Stanton Bear, watch them. They push this car about 7 or 8 pit stalls before it refires. That's the old rule. A year ago, that would have been fine. You just couldn't push it beyond the stop sign at the end of pit road. Now, it is a violation, and he will have to come with a pass-through now under the green flag.
It's going to take a while for these guys to get used to these new rules. It's kind of, you want to get that car going, so you're going to keep pushing it until it fires. The NASCAR got him for it.
New leader, Kirk Shelmerdine. Yes, folks, that is the same Kirk Shelmerdine that was the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Sr. for 12 seasons and 4 Cup championships. When he left there in 1992, he started driving a race car. He drives in the NASCAR ARCA Series, rather than the NASCAR Nextel Cup. It used to be now Sprint Cup, and now running the first nationwide event of the season.
A lot of these guys pitted a little bit sooner than their tanks were dry. I don't think that they were looking for fuel as much as they were tires, so it gave Kirk just an opportunity to lead a few laps.
Yeah, and that's a good story and nice for him and his sponsors there. So really good that he was able to do that, stay out there, and he's been relatively competitive throughout the race.
We've cycled through our first pit stop, and back up front, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car, driving for Teresa Earnhardt. DEI showing the way at Daytona. Behind him, a couple of Toyotas, Vickers and Kyle Busch. Back at Daytona, opening event of the 2008 NASCAR Nationwide Series, the Camping World 300. We are 16 laps away from halfway. 18 car of Kyle Busch in 3rd position after Kyle assumed the lead from his teammate Tony Stewart. Kyle has led 13 laps. Tony led the first 22. Martin Truex, the 8 car, is your leader. The 10 car, Vickers in 2nd, and there is Busch back in 3rd. Let's listen in.
Good job, Jay. 8 car killed us. I don't know what up always, but killed us. If we have the technology to figure out the overall pit road time, that'd be great. I think I was too slow getting into the box, but I wanted to let you guys do the work, not me.
Hey, 10-4, you did a nice job, man. We're going to make it up to you next time. We had a little problem down here.
Andy, what's he talking about with regard to the back and forth with that pit stop?
Well, he just knew he had lost the lead and lost a couple spots, and he was kind of thinking maybe he did something getting on the pit road or getting off pit road that cost him some time. Crew chief said, no, we had just a little bit of problem here. Pit stop looks pretty clean, but you see this tire carrier reaches up here to put that little piece of tape on we heard Kyle asking for earlier, and waiting on that car just in front of him to get in their pit stall. Just a split second, but it just cost him a spot or two.
Yeah, a couple of little things. And as a driver, that first time that you're coming into the pits, you're not exactly sure how far your car is going to slide, how good the brakes are going to hold. So probably a little bit of that. And then the crew chief did a really good job there in the jack man of not dropping that jack and sending him out as the 41 car was coming in, because that could have been really bad for their day if they have an accident on pit road.
Yeah, Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief there, and the 41 car is a rookie at Daytona, Brian Clausen, so you don't want to take a chance there on having an issue on that first pit stop.
These top 3 staying pretty close together, but they've pulled off about 6 seconds away from Clint Boyer after this round of pit stop.
Yeah, Boyer is 4th, Tony Stewart back in 5th, Denny Hamlin is 6th, Bobby Labonte and Kevin Harvick, the 21 and 33 cars, also hooking up back there in the top 10. Top of the show, we talked about how Dario Franchitti was making his first start at Daytona in a NASCAR stock car in terms of a points-paying race from the Nationwide Series. There is Dario, who started back in 4th position. Let's check in his pits with Mike.
And Doc, he's facing a little bit of adversity, and certainly something we should pay attention to throughout the course of this race is tire management. Take a look at the right front tire that just came off Dario Franchitti's car, all the way down to the cords on the inside radius of the tread. Now, they told Dario to turn on his brake blowers. His response was they've been on the whole time. Now, this is not an isolated case. A little bit further down pit road, Matt Kenseth, he also has some tires that have begun to chunk a little bit, so we'll have to pay attention to this as this race wears on.
Thanks, Mike. We've heard crew chiefs say during the week that some guys are having some chunking issues, others are not. Why?
Well, it's just the tire is just borderline for the racetrack, and they try to make that thing just stick as good as you can, but these guys are having a little bit of issues with it. It's a hot day. The cars are sliding around a lot, but that's why you saw all these guys come in all together. As soon as that first car pitted, everybody said, hey, man, I need some tires. I'm coming in too.
Yeah, they could have been in practice the other day and maybe even late in practice said, I just need my car to turn a little bit better. Well, a quick fix to go out and find that is to add a little bit of camber. But you've got to remember, you've got 2 long straightaways here. That tire's running on the inside going down that straightaway, so that's where it's going to wear more. The other thing is you get a little too soft a spring over there, it'll wear on that inside a little bit too.
Yeah, that camber, you put that camber in there for the corner so that the tire you get as much grip across the surface of the tire through the corners, but it does sit at that angle all the way down the straightaway, and this puts a lot of load on that very inside edge.
We talked about this being the first race of the year for these drivers, but that was the first pit stop a moment ago for the crew chiefs, and a lot of things can happen on pit road. Now watch this close call here back in that first pit stop.
It was a good job for Johnny Sauter not to run into the side of that 4-car because he was ready to go when that car came in. See the 17 crew cam. He's watching for his car to come in here. Oh, man, that was a real close call. Maybe it was a little bit of contact.
Yeah, they cost him valuable time, even if it didn't hurt the car. And as the cars have gotten spread out here a little bit, makes it a difficult day for him to get caught back up then.
Kevin Harvick on pit road, last year's winner, in for 4 tires.
Must have had another problem. Maybe left some wheels loose on that last pit stop. That was what I would suspect here because they haven't run enough laps to really have a tire problem.
Yeah, you know, we talk about the drivers being a little bit nervous at the start of the race. These guys making their first pit stop, they're a little bit nervous too, and that could have very easily happened. It could be something too that it just threw a weight off or something like that, and you have a vibration. It's hard to tell from the driver's seat exactly which tire it may be. So, Andy, most of the time you say that, you're ready as a crew chief to change 4 tires.
Jamie, what happened?
Well, it's something you don't want to hear after a pit stop. We didn't get it full. They didn't get all the fuel in. You had to come back in, fill it all the way up. They took the opportunity to get 4 fresh tires. Not what you want to do when you're the owner and driver of the race car.
Well, I'd say they didn't just not get it full. They probably didn't get hardly any fuel in it because he didn't run very many laps at all since that last pit stop. This is going to put these guys way behind. They're going to have to race hard to try to get this back.
How does that happen? I mean, he's got a pretty experienced crew. Was there something you think, a malfunction in the vent or something?
More than likely, there was some kind of a mismatch with the fuel cans. Like Dale was saying, these guys are making their very first pit stops of the year, probably have new cans, new hardware. Something didn't made up right there and cost them a lot of time.
You know, not only is he upset as a driver because you get a little upset, you know, and you understand, you know, we as drivers, we make mistakes too, so mistakes are going to happen. But he's mad as a car owner too, so he's probably, the temperature inside there just went up.
Yeah, that's one thing we don't see on our telemetry, and that's the blood in Kevin Harvick's head right now boiling. See the catch can man here. They're trying to get this car full of fuel. And there could have been just a problem here. We see it fall down to the ground, so maybe the probe didn't open up for the vent and allow that fuel to come in. There's definitely something wrong.
Might explain there's a valve back there that they have to be able to get open to be able to let air out to be able to put fuel in these cars. Well, let's go down and show you what we're talking about at the Dish Tech Center in Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. What we're going to show you here, folks, when this probe goes in, it's got to open this flapper valve right here. If it doesn't open this flapper valve right here, it can't let the air escape. When you're putting fuel in, air's got to go somewhere. Valve's not open, not going to happen. Jerry?
Tim, that obviously, that as you were talking, Andy, that may be what happened, because if you can't let the air out, you can't get the fuel in.
Yeah, but it's something they're going to have to get fixed pretty quick, and they've only got one more shot here probably to get it done. And I know Kevin's not happy about this, but he'll race hard. If he'll stay with it here, he might get this lap back and still be in contention before the race is over.
Kevin Harvick now being shown 1 lap back in 34th position. Trouble on the racetrack here. Lap 54. Pretty hard lick a couple of cars.
Caution's out, caution's out. Back them down, wave them off.
14 of David Gilliland and the 70 of Mark Green involved, in both cars very heavily damaged.
Well, that was a shocker to see that wreck right there. I about jumped out of my seat. Those cars hit hard right there. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's Mark Green's second hard hit of the weekend. He was involved in that accident back in the final practice early on.
I know those are soft walls, but I bet they didn't feel too soft right there.
Now, you're going these speeds, you know, we appreciate the effort that's been made, but there we see the window net down, which signifies to the safety crews that the drivers are okay.
That is what they tell the drivers in the drivers meeting, that if you're okay, just put your window net down so we know. That's just in case there's a bunch of cars out there and they look and they see one car without a window net down, they go there first.
Yeah, NASCAR's worked really hard on trying to get safety to the cars quickly, safety crews that is. Here's a 16 of Biffle in with some damage.
Hold out. Okay, Ryan?
He must have caught just a piece of this. He's wanting to get back off pit road before the leaders come off of turn 4.
Biffle came in now before the pits were open. He came in early. Show you again, see if we can see the 16 car get involved.
See that 14 got a little bit loose and clips Biffle. And then he hits Mark Green. Man, Mark Green didn't see that coming.
No, yeah, they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all that is, and it's unfortunate for that team and for Mark. It looked like the 14 just got loose up there. Maybe over-adjusted if his car happened to be tight earlier, and just over-adjust a little bit. And you know, it's just hard. You work hard to try to catch it, but at the speeds that you're going, it's just very difficult.
But the good news is both window nets came down and both drivers climbing out. The 16 car, though, a little bit of damage and pitting early. Dave?
Greg Biffle got feedback from his team after that last round of green flag pit stops that a lot of cars were tight. Biffle's comments after that incident, I guess those guys aren't as tight as they thought they were. Those cars got loose, boys.
Yeah, sometimes, though, Dave, you can have a lot of wheel in the car from being tight, and that back end will just jump out from under you. So, you know, it's hard to say whether the car was actually tight or loose. The end result is the back end flies out from under it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what it looks like from the driver's standpoint. But, you know, it could have been up there. We talk about the bumps on this racetrack. You get up high in the middle of 1 and 2, and there are bumps there. If your car happens to be tight, you've got a lot of wheel in it, and it hits that, then it makes it seem like it's that because you've got that wheel in the frontal grip all of a sudden, and your back can't keep up with it.
It's going to be an opportunity for a lot of these guys to start working on their cars and adjusting on them and get them all back together again. So you see all of them ready to go, and I bet you're going to see some wrenches turning in these cars.
This is the first caution flag of the day. Remember, their first pit stops were under green on lap 37. We are now on lap 55.
There's a wrench. See the gas man, he's ready to make an adjustment.
Yeah, these guys are ready.
There's
now
a spring rubber.
Yeah, they're getting ready to do these adjustments. Now they have time to make those changes that the driver's been hollering as to why they couldn't do that. And obviously they couldn't under the green flag pit stops that they made. But we're gonna see some time. These aren't gonna be, everybody's not gonna be making a 15-second pit stop right here. We're probably gonna see, 30 and 45-second pit stops to make these adjustments.
Cars being picked up over on the track, whereas the leaders coming out of turn 4 have wound it down to 55 miles an hour as they head down for their first pit stop under caution. Shannon Spake.
Kyle Busch, who won here in July, battling tight off conditions. They're going to do 4 tires and an adjustment. Now let's go to Mike with the Castrol GTX triple pits.
Tony Stewart has been tight from center off as well. Last time down pit road, they raised the track bar 2 rounds. They'll go to work on the chassis once again and an air pressure adjustment. Jamie?
And a shout out to Brian Vickers, who's gone 11th to 2nd. They're making a track bar adjustment. 4 tires. He's a little tied off. Dave?
Martin Truex's car was so loose, he was afraid that if he got back in traffic, he wouldn't be able to control it. So they made a chassis adjustment and air pressure adjustment to try to make that car turn a little less well.
Kyle Busch gains a spot off of pit road. David Rudiman's a bunch. So the Michael Waltrip Racing Team gained 3 spots. Casey came back a couple. And problems on the 1 car of Johnny Sauter as he noses it in, and now the hood goes up. So trouble for the James Finch operation as Sauter is going to be on pit road for a lengthy period of time. Under caution here at Daytona, back in just a moment. Back at Daytona International Speedway, Camping World 300, as we are 3 laps away from halfway. Working caution for the first time this afternoon. Pretty hard crash over in turn 2 involving the cars of Mark Green and David Gilliland. Both drivers are okay. Pace car pulls away, and this great crowd on their feet as Martin Truex Jr. will lead him down to the green flag once again. Caught a glimpse a moment ago, Johnny Sauter back on the racetrack, but he's a sitting duck now as the field comes by him at full speed. He's trying to get up to speed.
Those guys are trying to fix the car from the earlier little bang up they had in the pits, trying to fix the toe in, and they ended up losing a lap here on this restart.
Look at this scramble down the back straightaway, 3 wide. They were going to think about going 4 wide a moment ago.
Yeah, this is it right here. They got the good tires. Everything feels good. You'll see these guys dicing right here.
Yeah, this is what this racing's all about right now, as we see them getting 4 wide, and yeah, they made it through. That looks a lot worse when up here than it does in the driver's seat sometimes, but it's amazing the racing and how much confidence these guys have in these cars just to put them wherever they need to.
Ryan Vickers just became the 8th different leader today. Vickers, the former Nationwide Series champion in the 10 car, led his first lap here, but now Truex retakes the lead on that high line.
Yeah, you know, we've got different agendas. Guys wanting to lead the race, and then we've got Kevin Harvick up there trying to be to get himself in the position, the first guy a lap down, or even get his lap back on the racetrack, whichever he can do. So he is trying to do that. We see his car, the 5th car up on the outside, the blue Camping World car. So
yeah, he's the first car 1 lap down right now, and if he'll stay in this group with these guys, he can maintain that spot. If they have a caution, he'll get that lap back.
Yeah, he's really not concerned of getting himself into the front right now. He just wants to stay solid right there, and then if we should have another caution, he could get that lap back.
Hoping for the caution and hoping he's not the caution.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're in that position and what you ask for.
Well, this is the best place to be for Kevin Harvick, right up front with these guys. That seems to be the calmest area right now, is up in the lead group.
Got to be frustrating, DJ, when you know you got such a good race car and you're yet a lap down. You can run with these guys. You just need a chance to get back with them.
Yeah, it is frustrating, but Kevin's a veteran that understands these things happen, and all he can do right now is just put himself in that position, and again, hope that a caution comes along the way and it's not him. As we see David Rudeman right on the back of him. Yeah, David enjoys this type of racing. Last year was really his first time in doing restrictor plate racing, but has a really good feel for the car. And we see he's got his Toyota up there on the high line, up into the top 10.
Jamie Little.
Well, you guys were talking about Kevin Harvick. What happened when he came in on that first pit stop? He has a brand new gas man. He was gassing it for the first time, didn't get any fuel, and he didn't have it in far enough. So when Kevin came back around to get the fuel, they put 4 tires on. He had a serious vibration. They brought it in again, changed the tires again, and they think they got it right, guys.
Oh, costly mistake, cost him a lap. But you know what? Kevin Harvick's got a good car. He's just going to possibly get that lap back and still be in the fray. By the way, good news, both Mark Green and David Gilliland checked out and released from the infield care center after that hard lick a moment ago that brought out the first caution flag of the day.
That is good news. It just shows you how safe these cars are today, and you take a lick like that and just walk away from it.
Speaking of Mark Green, Shannon has caught up with him.
That's right. Certainly has been a rough week for you. Involved in the wreck in practice earlier this week, and now this. What happened?
Well, it's, you know, I don't understand the thing in practice. You know, I don't understand that at all. And then we were just lined up, about 5 of us there, you know, just running as fast as a leader, just, you know, making sure we don't happen what happened. And the 16 car got down in there into 1, and I don't know what the deal was, but he jacked the 14 up a little right in the middle of the corner, and the 14 wiggled. And so, you know, I think, okay, I got to go to the bottom, but I can't let off. And I thought he was okay. I thought he saved it, but evidently he didn't, and come down and got me. But, you know, I just don't understand why people are running into each other in the middle of the corner, and NASCAR tells you not to. So, you know, we're a very small race team, and we've actually ruined 2 race cars because of people not doing what they're supposed to do. So hopefully somebody can look at it and maybe get some corrections made. Just unhappy about the whole situation.
All right, Doc, you can definitely hear the disappointment in his voice.
Sounded like he was trying to be politically correct right there, but he's not very happy losing 2 cars. That team can't hardly afford it.
Yeah, Mary Louise Miller wants to run a lot of races, but they only had really 2 cars. They lost them both here at Daytona. That's going to really hurt them here as they head to California and Las Vegas.
Now, this is the type of racing we were expecting to see. Now everybody's got their cars adjusted a little bit. We see our pole sitter, Tony Stewart, coming back to the front. He had dropped back quite a ways, but they've made some adjustments on that car. He was fighting a tight condition, and he's getting a push and headed to the front once again.
We're going to see 2 styles of racing. On good tires, we're going to see these cars running 2 and 3 wide, just like we see here. And then as the tires wear down, you're going to see it become a handling race, and these cars start moving up to the top of the racetrack, up against the wall, searching for grooves, just like we see at other racetracks.
Clint Boyer on the bottom here, bottom of the racetrack. He's got a good view of Kyle Busch in the 18, the 8 of Truex, the 20 of Tony Stewart. They are first, second, and fourth. He is third, and he's trying to pull that bottom line with a little drafting help there from the 32 of Denny Hamlin.
Now, these guys know that the handling is going to go away somewhat on these cars. So while they've got fresh rubber and their cars are handling, they're trying to make as much time up as they possibly can, get themselves in that position to where when this thing gets strung out again, then they're in a better spot.
Now, these guys are searching for anything to make their car handle better. You see the 5 car right here, Dale Jr. He made some ground early, you know, up against the wall, and he kind of stalled out like he was having a little problem with his car. They made a pit stop earlier and tried to adjust some things, and they made a kind of a unique adjustment we saw. You see the tire changer. He's taking this tire off the rear. This is the left rear. They got a chain there that holds that rear end up, so when they jack the car up, the wheel comes up real quick. It's always a balance of how quick you have that tire coming up. And, you know, the racetrack has a lot of bumps in it. So if you have that thing too short, it'll actually try to pick that wheel up off the ground. And maybe that's what Dale Jr. was feeling. These guys cut that chain just in case. It might hurt their pit stops a little bit, but it'll make the car drive better if that's the case, that it was picking that wheel up.
5-car Earnhardt Jr. being shown back in 17th position. Behind the 7-car, Mike Wallace, the 22 of Mike Bliss.
See Tony Stewart now. His car's woke back up. He was real strong when the tires were good, but his car went away quicker than some of these other guys.
The 88 car, Brad Keselowski's been hanging in that top 12 or 13, doing a pretty nice job for a young driver here at Daytona.
Yeah, you know, he got himself settled in early in the race and just took what his race car would give him at that point in time. And now he's getting a lesson on drafting with the guys that do this for a living, so to speak, on Sundays.
And he's got Bobby Labonte right there in that 21 car. He's got Casey Kane up in front of him. He's running with the boys right here. He can learn a lot in this position.
He sure can, and he's doing a really good job. You know, you see him, he was down on the bottom just a minute ago. He saw a few guys go by on the high side. He moved himself up, and now he'll start picking back up on that pack as he gets that drafting help from behind, and the pull that the guys in front of him, as they're breaking up the air, will help pull him up.
What was it like when you came here and ran the first race here like that? I mean, who did you learn from? Who did you follow around and learn the ropes here at Daytona?
Gosh, I was just trying not to hit anything. What I was trying to do at that time, you know, it was totally different. Well, I say that, but you know, it just, the place seemed bigger than life to me. So, you know, I was just doing my best. My brother Glenn let me drive his car, and I was just out there and trying to pay attention. But when you looked at it, you know, you looked at the names that were there: Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Terry Labonte, people like that you just looked at and you saw them racing in this race, and that's who you wanted to get yourself around. There's a reason that they were racing on Sundays, and those of us that were in the Nationwide Series, which was the Busch Series at that time, that we were in that series. So I wanted to pay attention to those guys. Couldn't necessarily run with them, but I wanted to look and learn as much as I possibly could.
69 of 120 laps in the books. Kyle Busch, who won this race back in July and led the most laps in this race last February, is our leader here. Tony Stewart, Clint Bowyer, Martin Truex, and Brian Vicker.
I was driving through the misty rain.
Our Holiday Inn Express race recap as we come back live to the Daytona International Speedway, approaching the three-quarter mark of today's season opener. A very speedy race, 166-mile-an-hour average. The caution flag has only waved once for 3 laps, and only 4 cars are in the garage and out of this race. It has been a quick and trouble-free race so far. As the race for the lead goes on, it is Kyle Busch in the 18 on the inside. Top side is Clint Bowyer in the 2. Bowyer had started on the front row. Don't forget, after our NASCAR coverage today, it's Dale Jr. shifting gears, a 5-part series documenting his move from DEI to Hendrick Motorsports, kind of a behind-the-scenes thing that Junior's production company did. It's been very, very interesting to watch so far, and that comes up right after our NASCAR live coverage here on ESPN2. Kind of had a pattern to this race so far, Brad.
Yeah, the thing I've noticed most of all is, you know, the real stumbles have come on pit road. Guys trying to get into pit road, there's been a lug nut here, a gas problem here, this, and this. As we go on, there's probably only going to be maybe 1, maybe 2 more stops, and they're going to have to get those stops exactly right to give their guy a chance to win this race.
Well, guys, right now, you can definitely tell the very last pit stop they had, they got the cars adjusted much closer because they're in a tighter pack right now. They really got spread out early on in the race, but right now the chassis look really good right now, and that's what they got to get right if they're going to get this pit stop sequence right to make it to the end.
Defending series champ Carl Edwards really starting to come to life in that 60 car, racing now for the 4th spot. Remember, he was mired way back in the middle of the field for a lot of the first part of the race, but we heard from pit road that he was just kind of biding his time and getting his car sorted out. Meanwhile, the driver who was leading earlier, Martin Truex Jr., has fallen back now to the 7th spot. Dave Burns, what's going on there?
Alan, he was diagnosing a potential problem with his crew moments ago.
Got the ductwork knocked out or something. Something's rattling around a whole bunch. And I just got tight around the bottom. The gauges are fine, 220, 230, but I don't know, some metal banging around in here, rattling. I don't see nothing loose with the visual eye driving by. Just keep an eye on your temps. Keep me updated.
Drivers never like it when things are distracting. Banging metal sounds are never good, Alan. Thankfully, right now, doesn't sound like it's a power plant issue.
He's hearing noises in the car. I've heard of hearing voices, but never know. What could he be hearing in there, guys?
It could be that some of the ballast is loose, rattling inside the frame rail. He just knows his car got tight, and he associated it with that noise. So not to say they're related, but they could be.
A little bump drafting back here, 66. Just a couple of young drivers. Stephen Wallace, last year's, by the way, Rookie of the Year in the 6 car is David Reagan.
We've got a nice mix here of veteran drivers that have been here quite a bit, have a lot of experience. A young man that as you saw the 41 car there that I've been very impressed with, Brian Clausen, is doing a terrific job in his first time in a nationwide car here at Daytona.
Both these guys with Ganassi, Franchitti is now 24th, but he's on the lead lap, keeping his nose clean, and if he does that, he'll have, and he can stay on that lead lap, he may be able to get a good finish out of this and keep his car together, not get in trouble.
Yeah, Brian Clausen now being shown in 13th and just riding there in the top 15 most of the afternoon. Shannon.
That's right, Doc. Brian Clausen, this isn't only his first time here at Daytona. The first time he even saw this track was at testing in January. He had a penalty on pit road earlier this afternoon, got pushed back all the way into 30th, back in the 30s, and of course has worked his way back up into the top 15, looking like a veteran for a kid who's making his first start here at Daytona.
And in case you didn't hear the story last year, folks, Brian Clausen, who was graduating from high school in Noblesville, Indiana, about a month before graduation, had to get a hall pass to leave school and get on a plane and fly up to meet with the sponsors for Chip Ganassi Racing to convince him to let him race full-time this year. And then he had to come back to school and take a test the next day. So how about that? You talk about getting younger and younger. I mean, these drivers, I mean, next thing you know, they're going to be coming in for 4 tires and a diaper change.
Well, that was a worthy hall pass there because he obviously impressed the sponsors, and he's impressing the rest of us right here on the racetrack. You know, you mentioned that he's just out there riding. He might differ with you on that statement. Here's the 5 car with Junior. We know he's been struggling with his handling a little bit, but he's continually stayed right up there at the top, Andy.
I think they've got it fit. Oh, got a tire problem here with the 59. Looks like he may have been against the wall.
Yeah, this could be the caution flag that Kevin Harvick would be looking for.
They got a caution out for debris. Caution out for debris. Good.
Just going to talk about that 5 car. He'd moved up 10 spots since the restart. I believe they've got that car fixed.
Yeah. But this is a big break for Kevin Harvick. Now, he ran in that lead pack the entire time there, so now he's going to be able to circle around, go into the pits, make any changes that he wants to now, because last time he had to stay out there on the racetrack. So he's got to be liking his chances a lot better right now.
There's the debris they're talking about. Caution coming out for the second time a day here at Daytona. The contact, Marcus Ambrose, second-year driver. He was the rookie of the race in this event a year ago. Had a great top 20 finish. Likeable Australian, now limping back to the garage area, and the pace car has picked up Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin and company. And there is the 59 car.
Riding with Matt Kenseth right here, and you see may have had a tire go down and got into the wall right here with Marcus Ambrose. Does a good job not to spin in front of traffic. You can see all that debris. Yeah, he's definitely blown a right rear tire. That tire blows out, and it just kind of blows all that sheet metal away, and probably did more damage than the wall.
Just took a big chunk out of that Kingsford decal in the back of that 59 car. He will come in and try to get some service on Tad Geschechter's machine.
But these guys pit now?
Oh, yeah, I think they will.
Maybe for the final time.
I think they're going to want to real bad.
Yeah.
These are very important pit stops, and we're going to go down to Shannon Spake as the 18 car, the leader, headed your way.
Well, Doc, if you listen into Kyle Busch's radio, you will hear a very, very happy Kyle Busch working with his team for the first time. He said he's happy as a clam. No changes, 4 tires. Mike.
And Tony Stewart has handled poorly, a little bit tight most of the day, but he says the car is getting better and has encouraged the team to keep working in that direction. Again, another chassis adjustment, air pressure adjustment. Jamie?
And Denny Hamlin on loan from Joe Gibbs Racing, making his debut at Braun Racing. He said he's just a tick tight, 4 tires, no adjustments. Dave?
Bottom of your screen, Martin Truex Jr. They have already made a chassis adjustment going back halfway. They got the car tightened up just a little bit too much. 4 tires and he leaves.
Couple of Joe Gibbs cars racing off pit road. Tony Stewart will gain the spot to the detriment of Kyle Busch. Martin Truex up 2 positions. It's a push for Boyer. Denny Hamlin bound 2 spots.
Hey, you know, I mentioned earlier about Kyle Busch might have been a little hesitant in coming in his first time, not knowing how far he could slide his car. Watch him this time. Brakes locked up 3 pits away, slides it in right on the mark.
Oh, he's got it figured out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the key thing right here is all these guys have enough Sunoco fuel to go the rest of the way. I don't know if these tires will make it, but they got enough fuel.
And watch the race off how close it was. There is Stewart and Busch, 2 teammates, about a half a hood length separation. Ah, look how happy the crew is. What a job for Tony Stewart's bunch. Back at Daytona, green flag waving for Tony Stewart. 40 laps, less than 40 laps away from the checkered flag in the season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Dale Jarrett, you were talking about in the commercial a moment ago. A lot of these guys are going to have a tough time not only catching but passing that 20 car of Tony Stewart.
He's been awfully fast when he was out front, and his pit crew did a terrific job there getting him out front. But Kyle Busch has other ideas. He knows he has a fast race car, and I'm not sure how long he's going to be patient and wait around.
Doesn't look like he's very patient right here. He's giving a bump draft to his teammate.
I'm sure he would like to get up there and get 4 or 5 of them to kind of break away and make the race between them. I don't think that's going to happen here, though.
I don't know that I've ever heard the word patient and Kyle Busch used in the same sentence.
Yeah, and we don't say that in a derogatory manner because the young man has tremendous amount of talent. I was telling you guys, I caught myself the other day in the race with him on Thursday on the Cup side, watching what he was doing because it's just simply amazing. I had to get at times catch myself and say, look, you got to pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing, but he is fun to watch.
You just joined our coverage. Last year's winner, Kevin Harvick, lost a lap by virtue of having to come on pit road to refuel the car after a fueling incident. And by virtue of that caution flag, he became our Aaron's Lucky Dog Free Pass Award winner. So he goes back on the lead lap. He was the first driver 1 lap down and now is back on the lead lap. So the 33 car gets a break. He's being shown now in 25th position.
Looks like he's got a long line of cars he's got to pass now, though. At least he's on the lead lap to be able to do it.
Yeah, he has that opportunity. And, you know, these guys now, they've all are thinking that they've probably made their last pit stop. They're counting on getting themselves in position for the end of the race right now. And as these cars get lined up, it's going to be harder for Kevin if indeed they stay single file. If they get double file, then he can make some more ground.
Tony Stewart's Toyota at the head of the pack. Let's check in his pits with Mike.
And Doc, you know, coming into the season, one of the looming questions was, how would Joe Gibbs Racing make the transition to Toyota? And so far, what we've seen here in Speed Weeks 2008 has been remarkable. A victory in the Dual 150, and right now 1-2 here on the racetrack. And what is even more remarkable is the fact that they did not even begin their transition to Toyota until after Homestead. It was Joe Gibbs' commitment to General Motors that prevented them from getting an early start. They didn't want to get involved until they fulfilled their commitment with Chevrolet. So over the last 2 months, they've made tremendous strides, and it's showing here on the racetrack. And I've got a question for you, DJ. You're pretty close to this situation. Who's helped who more? Has Toyota helped Joe Gibbs Racing or vice versa?
Yeah, and it's not to take anything away from Toyota, but Joe Gibbs Racing has certainly been a huge benefit. That's just a class organization. They got a lot of employees, a lot of knowledge there, and they were going to make whatever they decided to switch to, they were going to make that better. As we see these guys now fanning out, going 3 wide as they put Kyle Busch in the middle.
Look who showed up in the picture here, the 5 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Imagine that. Yeah, I don't think any of us thought that he wasn't going to be a part of this before it was over. But it's great to see now that he's got that car where he can get out there and hustle it and muscle it around. And I'm not so sure that he wasn't just waiting a little bit, you know, getting his car right before he made a serious threat to go to the front. I don't think he wanted those guys to think maybe that they had to deal with him today.
Well, I'm not sure he had the car to run with him earlier. They made some changes, some big changes on this car, and they've got him right, man. He's right on that yellow line. He's digging. He's ready to rack up another win.
Yeah, you can see those yellow gloves as he's just wrestling with that steering wheel back and forth. He certainly got his hands full, Dave.
And his former teammate Martin Truex Jr. radioed to his crew, "Where has he been all day?" and they radio back to him, "He's just been riding around."
He's not riding around now, Dave.
But he is working. Yeah, he is working it, though. So his car might not be as good as he would like for it to be, but, you know, he's the driver at this racetrack that can make up some of that difference.
Yeah, here's a news flash. This Earnhardt Jr. kid's pretty good at Daytona.
Yeah, not bad.
What you do right now, I guess, as a driver is you got what you got. You're not likely going to make another pit stop. Whether it's driving good, bad, you just got to take it and do the best you can with it.
Yeah, when a hole opens up, you got to go take it. And, you know, if you've got to hustle it and horse it around a little bit more, that's what you do at this point in time. There's no dropping back and waiting because there might not be another chance.
These cars now battling for, that is a 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. The one car, that is the car of Johnny Sauter. He's a lap down.
He's in that lucky dog spot now if the caution comes out. That's why he's racing so hard up here with these guys.
Matt Kenseth, you're riding along with him and his Ford. He's being shown back in the 19th position. That is the 38 car in front of him, Jason Leffler. Scott Wimmer, he's just going by. On his left is the 29 car.
And normally in these nationwide races, you talk about it, you'll be talking about Matt Kenseth a lot, but just doesn't seem that they've had the speed today exactly to get Matt up there and get him where he wants to go.
And the other thing, I see the 29 car running behind him with Scott Wimmer. That's another car you expect to see at the front that we haven't seen yet. Here's one we expected to see up the front.
Scott Wimmer driving the car that won the Series Owners Championship a year ago. He shared that car last year and will again this year with Jeff Burton. Wimmer will drive 23 races. Burton will drive the other 12. Move here by the Dodge, the number 9 of Casey Kane. Now he's being shown all the way up in 5th position, just going by Brian Vickers to take that spot away. Now Casey Kane will set his sights on a couple of Toyotas and Chevrolets in the top 4.
We see that Toyota way up there. Denny Hamlin looks like he's rubbing the wall coming off turn 2. I think that outside lane will start to be a little more of an advantage later in this run. See some of them working it now.
32 laps to go at Daytona. 2-time Cup champion and 2-time winner of this race. Tony Stewart trying to hang on and win for the 3rd time in his nationwide career.
Looking down on race leader Tony Stewart at the Daytona International Speedway from Goodyear. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Get there on triple tread technology. The blimp hovering overhead this massive speedway on a beautiful sun-drenched day with a huge crowd. And Tony Stewart out in front. Laps beginning to run out. 27 to go. That is the lead draft. Stewart, Truex, Boyer, Hamlin, Kyle Busch. Those front 5. Rusty, what are you seeing here?
Well, right now, Alan, you just got to believe the intensity starting to pick up right now.
Boyer into the wall. Whoa! Clint Boyer into the wall from 3rd place off of turn number 2.
Just started to say the intensity level starting to pick up. These guys are running out of time. They got to get something done quick. And the big one, I just feel like it's right around the corner. I hope it doesn't happen. But, boy, late in these races, it always seems to.
I'll tell you the big thing you got to watch is the tires are starting to go away on these race cars. It's getting ready to get the intensity up. Not only that, Tony Stewart has been hard to run down. He's been at least 2/10 quicker than anybody first, second place. They got the gang up on him.
Another look at it. Boyer, 3rd car in line.
Well, he just lost the tail end a little bit, scraped the wall, shuffled him up, went on down the road.
Clear, clear.
Whoa, he just gets a little air taken off the back of his car.
18's coming with him in the
32 car just got Boyer loose, and Boyer just slammed up in the wall. Watch as he comes across the front here and just loses that downforce. That back end kicks out, touches that wall. The front end comes back around and gets the front end. So that is some major damage on the right-hand side of the car for Clint Boyer. Probably knocked out the toe end, the back of the car. Really going to hurt this team right now.
And that was the guy running 3rd. That could have been the big wreck.
Yeah, it could have been. That's exactly right. And I think for them to get past Tony Stewart, they're going to have to gang up on him, Alan, Rusty, don't you believe? That's all because Busch was able to run up to him, but no one else has been able to close that gap quite as far.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Boyer does have that vent hose back on the top of his helmet. They must have replaced that on one of the pit stops. All right, let's get you up to speed as we get into the final laps of this race. Nationwide takes you up to speed. We start with Mike Massaro.
Well, Alan, it goes without saying that it's been a pretty good day for Tony Stewart. He started on the pole, and despite developing a tight handling condition, the team went to work making a series of chassis and air pressure adjustments, and the car has come to life. He's led more laps than anybody else, and things bode well. He does have 2 career nationwide wins. Both of them have been here in Daytona. Dave?
As for Martin Truex Jr., Mike, he radioed in that this car is definitely a handful today, he told his crew. The crew radioed back, you know what? That's what Dale Jr., his old teammate, said that one time. Remember, Jr. has won here in a DEI car as well. Shannon?
Well, Dave, of course, this is Kyle Busch's first points race with Joe Gibbs Racing. He tested with this team. They came here, the cars were not perfect. They didn't draft well, so they went back to the shop, cut the bodies off the car, improved on them. Kyle Busch said that was the thing that impressed him most about this team. They did not settle. Right now, Kyle Busch not settling for third, making his way, trying to get back up front. Dave.
When we came on the air Friday, the big news was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car impounded overnight and re-scrutinized by NASCAR. Penalties would be forthcoming from nationwide officials, we're told, on Tuesday. And as caution comes out, guys, Chad Walter told me that it was a clear case of trying too hard. It's not like I have a bad driver here, and not like not everyone has been caught doing some things before, but I didn't need to try this hard. Dale Jr. always has a chance to win at Daytona.
Caution being shown for the 3rd time a day. We are being told debris on the racetrack, and you see Kevin Moss, the Nationwide Series flagman, waving the yellow flag. And there indeed is some sheet metal on the track. Came off the 59 car, we're being told, Marcus Ambrose, and that's the one that had the big hole in the fender from the previous tire issue.
Yeah, it looks like he may have had a little more of an issue there. They black flagged him the lap before, and then this piece of sheet metal just blew off. When that tire blew out earlier, it just rips that sheet metal completely away and some of the wheels that were holding it. So all this air with his cars going over like 180 miles an hour blew it right off of there.
Okay, the last time I got ready to ask you, what do you do now? That was a pretty easy call. They were going to come get tires and pit. What are we going to do now, crew chief?
Well, I'm going to come in and get tires.
I know as a driver, I'm going to agree with you. So,
and who are you? Are you the guys up front, or are you the guys all the way through the field?
I'm any of them. I tell you, if I'm the guys up front, I still come get tires because I just think you got to have them to be able to win this race.
And I think that they can dictate what the whole field does, because if they come, everybody's going to have to.
Work ongoing on Clint Boyer's car. Remember, he said at the top of the show, let's go win a championship, boys. He's going to run the full season.
Yeah, that's not the way to do it. But he was in the right position. He was running for the win. He was up front.
Yeah, he was running well, and as we saw what he was doing, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch had a run on him. They'd gone to the top of the racetrack, and he was more towards the middle, and he was trying to slide up to keep them from going by him on the outside and getting freight trained, and his car just slid up a little too much. Sometimes you just lose the front. You think it's going to grip a little bit, and you just run out of racetrack.
Okay, the leaders are coming off turn 4. We'll see what they're going to do here.
I've got to say, with the some of the issues that we've seen in the handling issues, that these guys got to go. And again, the front guys can dictate what everybody in this field
41.
does.
Here we come.
Let's go down to Shannon Spank.
Well, Kyle Busch brings his car down pit road. The guys that are going over the wall for that number 18 are actually his Cup guys. So they've had a little bit of practice today, this week already, with the shootout and the duels. Kyle Busch says car is a little tight, and give me a new set of 4 tires. Mike?
Wants to be tightened up, but just a smidge. He was emphatic about making it just a little adjustment. A little bit of air pressure and 4 scuffs for the 20 car. Jamie?
And Dave Blaney in that 32 a little while ago, he came over the radio and said, this is stupid, I can't go anywhere. But he said the car is coming around. He's taken 4 tires and a track bar adjustment. Dave?
Martin Truex Jr. overshot his pit. It took the crew a couple of moments to push the car back into where they could legally service it. Now he's real close to the wall, making it difficult to take on those left side tires. They changed 4, but it took forever.
Costly for the 8 car for Martin Truex Jr. on this stop. Great effort again for the Joe Gibbs guys, as we will come back with the green flag and see who can hang on and win it here at Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. 21 laps to go. Well, friends, ESPN and the world of motorsports lost a really close member of its family this winter. Ron Scalise's passion for sound is the reason you at home enjoy the best seat in racing. Ron, we know you're listening, so let's take all of your fans full throttle.
Clear high.
The sounds that Ron Scalise helped bring to your neighborhood and to your home for so many years. NASCAR stock cars at Daytona. What an effort. Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, Vickers, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was up there, and the car slipping a little bit. There's Keselowski. There's the 5 car.
Junior went for the lead. He got underneath the 18 car Kyle Busch down the backstretch, and nobody went with him. Seemed like the whole line just went up on the outside and left Junior down there by himself. Looks like he's struggling with his car a little bit. Wiggling right here, trying to get it back.
Well, that's one of the guys that if you can put him back there and make him work harder, then you've got a better shot at winning this race. So, they lined up on the outside of him, and when you've won everything down here so far, guys, remember that, and they're trying their best to get themselves to victory lane.
I've seen that work both ways.
Still up at the top. Still up top.
I've seen that, where, Senior, they would always line up right behind him, go wherever he went.
Yeah.
And I never figured that out, because if you're going to beat him, you can't do what he's doing.
Intensity now beginning to build up. Okay, drivers, Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, what's going through a driver's mind right now is, the laps are clicking down, and you got what you got as a race car.
Yeah, this is the most tense time, I think. The beginning is always a very tense time. You got a good, solid grip on the steering wheel, but right now you're trying to win the race. So you're having to make every move, and when you were cautious earlier, Rusty, I think now you close up those holes and take those chances.
Well, Dale, right now these guys got 4 new tires. The cars are handling good. They got 18 laps to go, now 17, and they've got to get it done right now. They got everything they needed throughout the race, and it's go time right now. So the intensity's coming up. They're getting real nervy, and they're getting ready to take some chances.
Yeah, before, when you were waiting to hear from that spotter that you were clear, now you hear that click of that button, and that's whenever you think that he's getting ready to say it. You're hoping that's what he's going to say anyway, because you're going to put that car in that hole as soon as you possibly can.
Oh, yeah, you're just really relying on your spotter at the moment to call you clear. When he says clear, that's the best feeling in the world, because you got that car pinched down. You're trying to let it run off at turn 4 or turn 2, because, man, you are nervous. And you got to get it done. Hey, man, this is Daytona. It's everything.
Yeah, and we were talking about Junior got freight line there a while ago, or freight trained, and look where he is right now. He's back in 5th, but he's got 4 Toyotas he's going to have to deal with.
There he goes on the outside. He's got his old friend, Martin Truex Jr., right behind him. Maybe he can get some help from him.
Man, what a run he made right there, and he really didn't have a lot of help. I mean, the 8 car needed to be closer to really give him a push, but pretty strong. Dave, you've got something to add for us?
And DJ, as you know, those are both Chevrolets, and while it's not always a brand thing, they did notice earlier, Martin noticing that the Toyotas were working very well together. They lost an ally in Clint Boyer. The 5 and the 8 do need to work together.
Well, regardless that things have changed in their situation, these 2 guys are still friends, and they respect each other as racers, as we see our last year's champion Carl Edwards get into this mix also.
4 Toyotas on the bottom of the track there, and right behind them the Ford of Edwards on the top. Chevrolet's hooking up nose to tail, trying to get a little drafting help. The 5 and 8, Earnhardt Jr. and Truex. We talk about NASCAR being a give-and-take sport. Whoa, 1 car up high, that is the 59. They just do get by Marcus Ambrose. who's had the issues with that right rear fender and the cut tire.
Looks like he's got another cut down tire. Some debris still flying off that car. I hope we don't see a caution here.
I started to say, DJ, they talk about this being a give and take sport, but inside of 15 laps, looks like there's a lot more take than there is give.
Yeah, you forget about that first word. There's not much give unless you're going to give somebody a shot to help them get by so you can move on up. But, you know, we saw Junior try to make that pass and get that run on the outside, but the 4 Toyotas on the inside stayed lined up and their nose to tail and got back out in front by a little ways. It's not that they're home free by any means, but they're really having a hard time these other cars staying close enough together to really make a good push at them.
If those 4 cars can stay locked up like that, it's going to be hard to get past them. The only guy I know that can do that is this guy in this 5 car. He might be able to figure it out.
Yeah, if he can keep Martin right there on his bumper, and he's got another fast Toyota right there, Denny Hamlin in the 32 car, then he can get down there and do some more what we call side drafting and slow those cars down a little bit like that. But he's got to have some help behind him to make that happen. As we see that go out the window now as his teammate or his partner for the minute, has left him.
And for you Ford fans, here's a couple of them that are on their way. The 17 car of Matt Kenseth. You know, he sort of sits out there and waits until it's time to make a move. But people, we joke about him looking at his watch. I guess I can go ahead and make my move now.
I think he checked it. He's in it now.
This is David Pearson reincarnated with Matt Kenseth. There's no doubt about that.
And what about the 41 car? That's an 18-year-old, folks. Brian Clausen right behind this 17, making only his 6th ever start in this series. Whoa, here they come.
Watch this outside lane now. It's starting to move.
We have a change for the lead here. Brian Vickers has decided he wants to be in front of this.
I think he looked back and saw that 5 car working that outside lane and said, I better be on offense instead of defense here. I need to move up there myself.
Have a chance to win, yeah. He's not running the series full time. This is about winning this race.
Those Joe Gibbs cars on the bottom, the 18 and 20 Stewart.
You see Denny Hamlin power slide through the trioval right there.
Oh, wow. Shannon.
Yeah, Kyle Busch noticing that number 10 car coming on the outside, came on the radio and said, guys, I like our line. Confident that he can take this car to victory lane.
That 18 car does look solid down on the bottom of the racetrack, and he's the guy to beat right now. Here we go, a little bump draft. There we go. Kenseth.
That makes you go faster. You like that? That's just a shot. It feels like 25 horsepower all of a sudden.
Man, look at
Junior's
that.
not going to let that go to waste either. He's going to use that to get himself in a better spot.
He's
right
up in front of Rudeman, and Rudeman has no choice but to let him in.
I wonder if he heard the click of that clear button on that one.
He wasn't waiting on anything there. He didn't even wait on that part because there's no way his spotter was even clicking his button right there.
That is Bobby Labonte in the 21 car. That is the car he is driving that won this race a year ago.
All right, folks, this is what we've been talking to you about all week long, is how exciting this race is going to be, and it's playing out right here.
10 laps to go. Next time by, whoa, Casey Kane slides up, and as they get past him.
Okay, look here, you got these teammates blocking. You got Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart.
Might be teammates, but they both love to see that checkered flag first, so I'm not sure how patient they're going to be with one another. That 8 car is really strong. Martin Truex has done a terrific job all day, and he, as you saw him a while ago, as he was behind Junior, he passed Junior and has got himself now in a position to where he can win the race.
Carl Edwards was trying to get up there. Remember, he started back in 26th position and struggled to get in the top 15. Now he's in the top 5.
He's done a great job of getting this car up front. He had a practice crash. They had to replace the whole right side of this car, and here he is in the mix to win it. Junior's really struggling and fighting that car.
Yeah, we saw earlier that for him to be up there, he was having to work extremely hard, and not that he's not willing to do that, but as you're working that hard, sometimes it's just not able to get the speed and make the moves that you need.
There goes Brian Vickers now.
Vickers made the classic move, DJ. Up high, bobbed high, and dove low.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a push and got a little bit of a run, and he was able to clear the car there, so he got himself in position.
Whoa, Stephen Wallace off sideways in the corner, gets tagged by Casey Kane, Johnny Sauter, and Kevin Harvick are involved.
And we've got a lot more going on behind them, too. And this is just one of those chain reaction.
Kirk Shelmerdine, the 28 car, looks to not have any significant damage. He comes down.
I think Jason Keller might have quite a bit of damage in his car.
There's the 11 car of Keller. Heavy damage on both the front and rear.
Stephen Wallace was in the spot to get the lucky dog, but he brought that caution out, so he won't get it.
Yeah, and two of our recipients of that earlier in the day, Kevin Harvick and Johnny Sauter, both had gotten themselves back into position and were involved in that now.
This is going to set us up for a real dash to the finish.
Caution for the fourth time today. 66 car, Stephen Wallace. If we can show you what happened. Left side of your screen.
Looks like it was the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. Got loose, slid up into Stephen. Nothing Stephen Wallace could do right there. He kept his car clean all week. Had done a great job, and then just taken out.
Now from Kevin Harvick's on board.
Right. Stay in front of you.
Like
Go high, go high.
Rusty Wallace saying the intensity level is coming up on these guys at the end of the race.
Yeah, that, a situation like that earlier in the race, you might have backed out of the throttle, but you're just not in a position to do that now, and that's unfortunate, especially for Stephen, who had done a good job all day.
Half a dozen cars involved. Stephen Wallace, Casey Kane, Harvick, Johnny Sauter, Jason Keller, Kirk Shelverdine. And there was the contact, the 88 into the 66.
Looks like Stephen may get out of this without a lot of damage.
Caution for the fourth time today. The top 20 cars staying on the racetrack. We'll take a break and come back with the final laps from Daytona. Welcome back to the Camping World 300 presented by Chevy at Daytona. Just 4 miles inland from the world's most famous beach, the world's most famous stock car facility. Beautiful shots from high above, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. Motorsports on ESPN next weekend. NASCAR Nationwide Series at California, Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. And NASCAR now covering all the action of the weekend, Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning. NHRA Nationals qualifying at Phoenix, Sunday at 11 a.m. NHRA Nationals, Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, all on ESPN2. And don't forget about shifting gears. Coming up next, a behind-the-scene look at the 5-time most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the difficulty in making the decision to move from the family-owned team of DEI to Hendrick Motorsports. It is a great show, folks. He sits down and talks. A lot of people talk about what you normally don't see in a race driver's career. Guys, 7 laps to go here. Who's got the horses? Is it Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, Vickers, Truex? What about Junior back in 7th spot?
Here we go. It's going to be exciting. I'm up on my feet. I'm sure everybody is.
Absolutely. I think Brian Vickers is going to help Tony Stewart go by Kyle Busch and win this race. That's just a personal thought. But there's going to be a lot of racing before all of that happens.
I'm going to say that 18 car is going to get real wide for about 5 laps.
Remember, 18 and 20 are teammates. Not that makes any difference here now in these final 10 laps, but this could be the first test here. Oh, let's see. They got a little blocking net on the bottom of the racetrack. See what's going to happen. I shouldn't say blocking. It's actually protecting your position. That's what the drivers say.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that was my spot, and I'm entitled to it until you get by me. And here comes Junior.
Dave Burns.
Martin Truex said the 60 of Carl Edwards, well, he can work with us if he wants, but I'm going to make a move one way or the other. I don't know how I'm going to get around these Toyotas, but I got to make a move even if I have to finish 15th.
Watching this from above and also watching from down below, Casey Kane standing by with Jamie Little.
He sure is. He had a strong car there for a while, but what happened there, Case?
It looked like the 88 just got loose to me. Kind of slid up. Hit the 66 or something, I don't know. And then I was just got hit from behind. So just a lot of cars all racing, and I think the 88 got loose, what it looked like.
All right, who's your pick? Who's going to win it?
A Toyota. They're I don't know which one, but it'll be a Toyota. They got so much more power than anyone else. It's crazy.
All right, well, Casey Kane's going to stand by here and watch this race heat up, guys.
Somebody forgot to tell Martin Truex it's going to be a Toyota. He's right there.
Look at Vickers go by on the outside. He got such a push from Truex that he's gone all the way to the lead, but he can't get by.
Former series champion, that's Vickers in the 10. Look up on the high side, the 5 car of Earnhardt. Whoa,
Carl Edwards slides in there.
Gotta love it, this crowd of over 100,000 on their feet. Edwards in the middle of that threesome now.
Looks like Kyle Busch can't make that car wide enough. He's got to block 3 lanes of traffic.
Yeah, that's almost impossible to decide where you're going to be able to get your push. As these guys, you're not sure where they're getting their best push. You just can't see that much. Brian Vickers to the lead.
Jamie Little.
Well, guys, Brian Vickers, he has not won in the Nationwide Series since he won the championship in 2003. His last NASCAR victory came at Talladega in the Cup race, and he thought he had the car to do it again today.
Tony Stewart goes right down close to Vickers and then uses the draft to slide by. Now they're 3 wide for second spot.
Check out Junior. He just hung that 18 car in the middle by just an inch or 2.
Now he's got him pushing him. That could be what he needs to get to the front.
Carl Edwards, he's caught. He's the meat in the sandwich there as they go by him on the outside and the inside. 3 laps to go at Daytona. Here goes Kyle Busch down to the bottom of the racetrack now.
Yeah, he didn't want to have any part of helping Junior win a 3rd race this week, did he?
So here goes the Toyotas down on the bottom. You got a Toyota up front on the high side, and Junior right there.
These guys are just taking whatever push that they can get and just taking that move, whatever momentum they can get. That's what they're going and where they're going. Tony Stewart is very good at making his car wide. We've seen him win 2 of these races down here.
Tony Stewart, an 11-time winner at Daytona. Hard to believe he's never won the Daytona 500. 3 laps to go. It'll be 2 this time by.
If Junior can hang on to that thing, he's going to have a shot at it.
Yeah, his biggest problem is he needs to get Vickers, and of course he's got Matt Kenseth pushing him. If they can get there and give him the shove that he needs, he might have a chance at this.
Remember, in 26 years of Nationwide Series racing here in February, the pole sitter has never won this race. Tony Stewart was the pole sitter. Could he change history today?
In fact, Kyle Busch was looking to the inside, not having enough to get beside Tony Stewart.
Here. White flag this time.
Whoa! Well, that broke a lot of momentum. Well, no, it didn't. They stayed in the gas. Or Kyle Busch did anyway.
And that was a great block for Kyle Busch. If he hadn't thrown that block, he wouldn't have a shot at it.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, that was a block. That wasn't protecting your position.
That was a block. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is legal in this form of motorsports.
White flag.
1 lap to go. Tony Stewart, can he hang on?
Well, he's going to be in good shape now because Martin Truex just went to the inside of Kyle Busch. And that's the best thing Tony Stewart could see in his mirror as these guys get side by side. Unless, yeah, he's almost got too big of a lead there.
They got a run coming down this backstretch.
Vickers, remember how much he can do, what he can do if he gets a little momentum. There's Vickers trying to find a way down to the inside, but he's got no one to help him down there.
Well, that car sat on the pole for a reason. It's because it was the fastest one here. They're going to have a really hard time because they're really not willing to work. Everybody's trying to get every spot they possibly can.
A couple of Toyotas and a Chevrolet. Earnhardt Jr. back in 3rd spot. Tony Stewart trying to hang on. Tony Stewart, the pole sitter, will come down and win the season opener at Daytona.
You are the best at this track. You are the best.
Well, he's not just the best at this track. He's pretty close to the best at any racetrack. That is quite a driver there, and he did a terrific job. And before we get too far in this, the young man that just came in 6th, Brian Clausen, what a great job he just did. I was trying to watch the front and watch a little bit of him. That was a terrific job for a young man that's never been at this racetrack.
Wow, what a finish.
What a finish. Tony Stewart picks up his 12th win at Daytona International Speedway, and what a great welcome back full-time to racing for the coach, Joe Gibbs.
Matt Kenseth put on a clinic how to keep your car clean and come in the top 5 finish.
One of the all-time nice guys in this sport, Joe Gibbs, sees his cars finish 1-2 at Daytona.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series Camping World 300 is brought to you by Camping World, the official RV and outdoor retailer of NASCAR. The U.S. Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. And Semi-Pro, starring Will Ferrell, Woody Harrelson, and Andre Benjamin, in theaters February 29th.
Season opener, the Camping World 300 is history here at Daytona. Tony Stewart, what a performance by that Toyota team for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Jamie Little standing by with the crew chief, Dave Rogers.
How about that? Joe Gibbs Racing's debut with Toyota. Didn't take you guys long. Dave Rogers, what was the difference? How did you figure out this speed so fast?
Well, we came down here, Mike McLaughlin tested for 3 days, and all we really worked on was race trim. We weren't worried about qualifying, made a couple runs to see what we needed to do for tape configurations, but You know, 3 keys: a great body, a great motor, and all the guys at Joe Gibbs Racing, my road guys, the shop guys, we just executed. We put together a good game plan, and we just executed it and took care of the details.
Congratulations. Way to start the year. I'll let you go to victory lane now and celebrate with your driver.
Thank you very much.
Doc?
Great job, guys. And, well, folks, his nickname is Smoke, and the 2-time Cup champion and now 3-time winner here at Daytona did just that today. He smoked them here in the season opener for the Nationwide Series.
And the Gatorade's flowing, and so is the champagne. Smoke emerges from his car. And you know, Doc, before the race, Tony Stewart said he felt invincible in this Nationwide car, and it didn't look like anything was out there to change that opinion today. What impressed you most about this race car this afternoon?
I mean, it just was fast. This thing had so much speed. I mean, this Toyota was unreal. I mean, we needed to be out front there at the end. When we got the lead there before the last pit stop there, we were just a little bit on the free side, but we were a little tight behind Kyle. So we got there at the end after that run. I got him tighten it up a little bit and thought we might get out first, and we just got back third, but I couldn't stay behind Kyle. I got such a big run into 1, and I was a lot tighter in 1 and 2 than 3 and 4, and I went in there and pushed up off the bottom, and it left Kyle by himself there, and the guys got a run on the bottom of us, and we just, you know, when the top line came and we actually moved up, it actually made my car drive a lot better. So I probably just needed to move up all along, but this Armor car was fast. I mean, I knew it was fast in practice. I think Kyle's car handled better than ours did, but you know, we had a car that go in a straight line for sure.
And if you watch those final laps, it appeared that your teammate Kyle Busch went a long way to help you out. How much did he help you?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, we worked with each other the whole race, and that's something that, you know, we've learned that from the Hendrick guys, and you know, it just shows if you get two of these guys to work with each other like this. I think Kyle and I could have stayed up front all day if we had to, no matter how many guys challenged. I mean, they could get by us for a little bit, but I don't think they were going to stay ahead of us for the whole race.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Tony Stewart now has 3 career Nationwide Series wins, all here in Daytona in this race. Shannon?
Well, Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart's teammate, finished right behind him in second. I don't think there was one person sitting in their seats for those last couple laps. Kyle, walk me through what you were feeling and what you were doing in that car at that time.
I have no idea. I don't remember. There was so much going on, but a lot of bumping and banging and being sideways through the tri-oval, through the corner, every which way. So didn't matter. You just keep your foot in it and keep it going. So proud to bring home the Interstate Batteries Toyota here in second place, but you know, definitely on the long run, it was a dominant car. I mean, we could lead every single lap on old tires, wide open, and so it was definitely a pretty cool piece here to drive today. And so you got to thank all the guys at Joe Gibbs Racing for fixing this thing for me. We cut it up windshield forward in order to make it more like the 20, because we knew his car was pretty good down here at the test, and so he proved it. I think that's the first time a pole sitter's won this thing in the last few years, so proud to see a Joe Gibbs car go to victory lane nonetheless.
Well, Tony Stewart in victory lane just credited you with helping him get to victory lane. Talk about the chemistry at this team, Kyle, your first points race with Joe Gibbs Racing.
He helped me out so much today, just keeping me up front, keeping me in the lead, getting me back to the front sometimes when we lost it a little bit, and when he got behind me. I mean, we worked really, really well together, and Denny was up in there for a fight and a battle too. I know he's over at Braun and wanted to beat the Gibbs guys, but we laid it on him today, so proud of that fact. But I'm in a Braun car next week, so I'm not going to doubt him too bad.
All right, he was in the truck race last night, finished second. He said he learned patience in that race. So looking for a victory in the 500 tomorrow. Dave.
Shannon Dale Earnhardt Jr. breaking things down with his new crew. And let's start with the technical part. What were you checking on the front there, the front right left tire?
Nothing important.
Nothing important. Okay, good. That last run.
I'm apologizing for any damage I did to my car through my guys, because it was a good car. We tried to bring it home clean today.
Well, and it looked like that high line was about your best shot, but you were working all by yourself.
That was our best shot, and that's why we were in it. I had good help from Matt Kenseth. You know, guys, you know, we're working the bottom, but I knew I couldn't win the race down there. Tony was going to run great down on the bottom, and Kyle was going to help and work good too. But pretty proud of our team. We came in and struggled in tech and struggled to get into the race. So I'm proud of them for finishing third. Congratulations to Kyle and Tony and Gibbs for their great finishes. They had great race cars, and they should be proud. We're really happy. Get some good points for this car.
Junior, did the issues in tech affect you at all mentally this weekend?
Well, ain't much you can do about it, so no, not really. I had a fun time driving my car today. It was really loose. Just held the pedal down, drove her off in there sideways every lap, and tried to do the best we could. Really, our only option all day was running the top. We weren't good on the bottom. The car was a little the car lacked overall grip when I got behind from fourth on back, really. So it was fun. We did what we had to do. We got a great finish. Would like to have won, but those two guys were tight. They were tight all weekend, really fast, and worked great together in the draft as teammates. So good job by them.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., of course, will be in the 500 tomorrow. Now, Junior, immediately following our telecast here, we're going to go back into shifting gears. Fans really get I would say, a more inside sense of your life and your person. What was it like sort of revealing more things than you've ever talked about before?
I don't know. It's fun for me because the fans deserve it. They supported us, and they deserve attaboy for that, or a gift, if you will. So that's really what we did. We got some great sponsors to support it. And, there's a lot of Dale Jr. commercials to have to sit through, I know, but that's what it takes to really get that thing on ESPN too. So we got to thank them, and it's tough for me sometimes to even sit through all of them.
But your fans are very willing to do that. And what was the most fun about filming this whole thing? I know it was a lot of work.
It was not much work, really. The fun part was just the crew we had. We outsource a lot of the work. We say our production company does the job at Hammerhead Incorporated, but we outsourced, the work and brought in some great people with some great talent and a long line of success at doing those type of documentaries and whatnot. And it's showing in the work. I'm real proud of the product, and I know the fans are enjoying it. Hopefully, more stuff like this will be done, not for just myself, for other drivers in the sport. It's a great way to really get the personalities and the drivers out there. And there's the demand there too. There's a lot of great personalities and neat things about the sport that we could tell that story, and hopefully this will get it started.
All right, guys, that is the word from production company owner Dale Earnhardt Jr., third place finisher.
6:30 tonight.
Immediately following our telecast.
Oh, okay. Well, I better get going.
All right. See you, Junior. Guys.
That's coming up next, the behind-the-scenes look at Dale Jr.'s shifting gears. And, of course, Tony Stewart still celebrating in victory lane. And, folks, how about the chemistry and camaraderie among those Joe Gibbs teammates? If they get that going, they're going to be hard to handle here in 2008. NASCAR Now tomorrow, host Nicole Mansky and a revolving cast of analysts. They will preview the Daytona 500 at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Eastern time in the morning. Daytona 500 recap 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And Daytona 500 roundtable Monday at 6 o'clock Eastern time. All NASCAR Now, as we totally encompass what's happening here with the NASCAR Nation. Back to wrap it up here at Daytona in just a moment. Back at Daytona, celebrations ongoing there for the Joe Gibbs team in victory lane. Tony Stewart picking up his third win here in a nationwide series season opener at Daytona International Speedway. Had a lot of help and a lot of competition throughout the afternoon, and one of the cars that had a shot on that final lap standing by with Jamie Little.
And that would be Brian Vickers, part of that Toyota brigade on the run at the end there. Take us through that finish, Brian. What were you seeing and feeling?
I was one to get out of there and get it done as fast as possible. It got pretty wild. A lot of it was just the guys were aggressive. This is not a points race. It's all about the win, for all the Cup drivers here. And it was a lot of fun. This track has gotten to where it's like Darlington at 200, and I love it. All the guys have so much fun. We're out there sliding around. But, the ABF Toyota did good today. We had a really good car there at the end. We got it freed up, but we got beat up by teammates there. The 18 to 20 jumped around me on the outside at the end, and there's not much we could do about it.
You've been on a roll this week. You jumped out of a plane solo on Tuesday. Then you qualified for the Daytona 500 starting 23rd. What'd you learn today that'll take you to tomorrow?
A lot of it is just trying to find a balance of the car. The race is definitely going to get single file, and it's having a balance for a car that you can run wide open, because if you can't keep up. They'll get single file, and the leaders will get away from you. And for the most part, we stayed with them today. Mid-race, we got too tight, and we fell back a little bit. But there at the end, the last stint, we got the car handling really well, and it paid off.
All right, Brian Vickers brings it home fourth. Shannon?
Well, Jamie, had another top 5 finish to Matt Kenseth, already impressive resume. This week has been kind of crazy for the 17 team. You had to qualify on time. Spoke with your crew chief, Drew Blickensturfer. He was a little concerned with the car and speed and qualifying. How did it handle in race conditions today?
Well,
it was a little bit of a struggle. You know, it's kind of a unique situation. We finished 10th in owners points, but because you don't run all the races, you're not guaranteed a spot, and it's an impound race. So the guys who are guaranteed a spot, you know, worked on handling a lot, and they had their cars probably a little draggier, but they handled better. And you know, we brought one ahead to make the race. So we really struggled being tight all day and never got it exactly right, but we got closer at the end.
Now the big race, of course, is tomorrow, the Daytona 500. How does running this race here on Saturday help you for tomorrow?
Well, I think it might help the driver just a little bit, you know, with awareness and kind of getting used to, you know, drafting again after the whole winter. We only, you know, do 4 plate races a year, so kind of get used to that again and being looking around and maybe feel a little sharper for tomorrow. But as far as information, nothing translates. We're on a different tire, different aero package, different engine deal, so none of that really counts anymore.
All right, well, good luck to you tomorrow, Matt. Alan?
So great run today for Matt Kenseth. Let's take a look back at how things unfolded over today's Camping World 300. Kevin Harvick in a little bit of trouble early.
Yeah, that was a problem right off the bat. Missed pit stop, didn't get any fuel in the car. He had to come back in and put some fuel in.
And ran into some mechanical troubles after an accident a little bit later in the race. Not a great day for Kevin Harvick. Spin ahead to lap number 54. Trouble in turn number 2. David Gilliland in the 14. Greg Biffle in the 16. Mark Green in the 70.
Yeah, you can see that the 16 car just got into the 14 car. David Gilliland just a little bit and turned him sideways. And Mark Green, that's a second car he's wiped out this week.
Piled into the wall. Marcus Ambrose looking ahead for Matt Kenseth.
Well, Marcus had a tough time today. He kept getting into that right rear quarter panel. Got up on the wall, couldn't get away from it. Had a long, long day for the young Aussie.
Trying to say you need all 4 tires to succeed in this thing, Brad. Lap 93, Cliff Boyer running 3rd, bounces off the wall. Everybody scatters. Could have been the big wreck, wasn't. But Boyer running for the championship winds up with a pretty tough day, finishing in 25th place. Now 10 laps to go. Trouble turn 4.
Now the 88 car, Brad Keselowski gets a little bit loose, gets into Stephen Wallace, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick. They all go spinning, and their days are over.
Johnny Sauter car involved in that as well. Set up a little dash to the finish. Tony Stewart goes by Brian Vickers, manages to keep his Gibbs teammate Kyle Busch in that green 18 car behind him. A frantic run to the checkered flag.
Tony Stewart was impressive all day long. First guy to win from the pole position since the Iron Man, Jack Ingram, did it back in 1975. Great run for those Joe Gibbs cars.
The Gibbs cars finished 1-2 in their second dual race on Thursday. They finished 1-2 today. In fact, the 2 Gibbs drivers led 93 of the 120 laps in this race. I think the main headline out of today's race was Joe Gibbs Toyota's strong.
Boy, they were really strong. There's just no doubt about that, Alan. The other thing that was impressive, we didn't have the big one.
Yep.
I really thought we'd have the big crash today. It didn't happen. They got close. They tried real hard a couple times. But just like you said earlier, boy, Gibbs was just incredible. Those 2 cars, Brad.
Well, we saw it several years back in the truck series. The Toyotas came on strong. Then we saw it now here in the Nationwide series. So they're starting to move forward. They had a ton of speed today. Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart were just so fast by themselves today. It was just very, very impressive. But it was a clean race, a very good race to watch. Way to start the year.
You know, it's fair to say some drivers just are better at this drafting, plate racing thing than others. I don't think that's a slight at anybody. It's just a fact of life. Tony Stewart, with his 12th victory here at Daytona overall. Talked a lot about Dale Jr. and how good he is at this kind of racing. Victory number 12 here at Daytona for Tony today.
Oh, that's incredible. But you know, one good thing, guys, is that he gets to say, we just won the very first nationwide race, Tony Stewart. And a lot of guys love to have the first. And when you get to do something inaugural like this, that was big for Stewart.
Oh, absolutely. What about the youngster, Brian Clausen? Man, He had a great run all day long, finished up six, kept that nose clean, got a lot of experience today, and a great finish. Way to start the year, young man.
Yeah, DJ mentioned Brian Clausen a minute ago. In fact, let's go back upstairs now to DJ, Andy, and Doc Punch. Some thoughts on the race, gentlemen.
And thanks, Alan. We talked about how impressive it was for Brian Clausen. A year ago this day, we were told Brian Clausen might have been studying for an algebra test as a senior in high school. And here today, he was studying some of the best drivers in NASCAR history, and they had that kind of finish. And that was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, you don't realize just how difficult it is to come down here and compete with these guys at times. But he did a terrific job all day long. Didn't put himself in any position that got him in trouble. Did a great job in and out of the pits. And then whenever it counted, he was right there at the end.
Speaking of this Toyotas and how strong they were, let's check in where David Ruderman is standing by with Shannon Spake.
That's right, David Ruderman, 14th place, respectful, but you said you're not happy with it. Why?
No, it just, yeah, you know, you don't come here to run 14th. We had a good car. We just, I just picked the wrong line, so I think it's probably my fault that we didn't finish as good as we should have. But had a great Aaron's Green Machine. Jerry Baxter and the guys did a great job, and you know, we got something to take Talladega. So I'm proud with it. This time last year, I think we got wrecked early and finished about last. So we're starting out our season a whole lot better, even though it is only 14th.
Yeah, this time last season, David Ruderman was also not in the Daytona 500, and he will be in the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Jamie?
Well, Shannon, you're looking here at the rookie stripes. Brad Keselowski, no longer a rookie here at Daytona. Brad, we talked to you in the start of the race, and you had a lot of expectations. You didn't really know what to expect, actually. What was it like?
Well, I had a lot of fun. Learned a lot, and got to run with Dale a little bit. And we both had two strong cars. Had a little pit problem on last caution, and had to go to the back and drove back up as close as we could get there, and just fought hard all day. And really proud of everyone on the U.S. Navy Chevrolet. And you know, I feel like if we can keep getting strong cars like this, eventually a win will come. But you know, really proud of the effort. And I feel like just a little more experience, and we'll keep getting better at this.
Brad, you're in the front of Dale. He's behind you drafting. I see you working so hard, jumping left to right. What does that feel like to know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is behind you and he's your boss?
Oh, well, you know, it was great. The whole race was great. Working with all of them, all the Cup drivers. I had a blast racing with David Ruderman and Kevin Harvick. We had a lot of fun racing with Kevin. So just a lot of fun in general. Real happy with how the race ended as far as having one car intact. And for a rookie, that's what you need to do.
Well, you finished 16th. I'm sure the boss man is proud of you, and we're going to see a lot more of Brad Keselowski this year. Guys?
Thank you, Jamie. And there's a look at Daytona International Speedway. Tomorrow, the 50th running, the Daytona 500. Today, what a show, Andy Petrie, with these Nationwide Series cars. First of 35 events, and some of the young drivers put it on a heck of a show.
All I can say, Doc, is wow, that was one great finish. And I just am so excited to get started with this year. What a great way to get it going. But you know what? The Toyota guys have thrown down on these guys, and they're going to be tough to beat this year.
You know, Toyota's finishing 3 out of the top 4. And, DJ, it's the same configuration engine that you're going to be in tomorrow for your 20th and final Daytona 500. Could that be an omen?
Well, definitely. We have good power here. That's the one thing that I think is a marked difference from last year when we were here. This package suits us a lot better. The Toyota seem to be very good running in the draft. It's going to be an excellent race tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be a big part of it when it comes down to the end.
Let me ask you, will it be emotional for you in the car climbing in for the final time? You've won this race 3 times. Have you thought about it?
Yeah, I've thought about it some, and as we get closer to that moment, yeah, starting to get a little bit more so. Got my whole family down here. Kelly and the kids came in last night, so it's going to be a pretty big day for me.
You know how to make it more emotional? Wind up in victory lane. That'd be the best way to finish.
Man,
right
what
there.
a storybook ending that would be, and we're going to give it our best shot.
It was a storybook beginning for you when you beat Dale Earnhardt Sr. back in 1993. Let's go back downstairs to Alan Bestwick.
Thank you, Doc. Beautiful, beautiful day here in Daytona Beach, Florida for the season opening race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And a great crowd turned out to see what was a very exciting race, a frantic scramble to the finish with Tony Stewart coming out on top for his 3rd victory here in Daytona Beach. Very clean race, only 4 caution flags for 12 laps. As Rusty said before, didn't have the big one. And the dominant theme on the day were the Joe Gibbs cars dominating Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch, leading 93 of the 120 laps. Heard Doc and Jerry talk about tomorrow's Daytona 500, so I want to think ahead a week now for this NASCAR Nationwide Series. The series crosses the country and moves to the California Speedway next Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN2. California Speedway and next Saturday night's race. A thought?
Al, a complete different style of racing in California. They're going to have brand new engine rules when the cars get to California. A lot less horsepower in engines, about 80 horsepower less than what they had last year. So what that means is that they're going to try to run the corners wide open. Complete different style of racing we saw today because, you know, wide open in California versus wide open here is a lot different feel. But they're going to try it out there with this new engine combination.
And that new engine combination is going to create more exciting racing in California. We've seen the cars get kind of spread out and just make long runs all in different races there. With this new engine combination, guys will be closer together. We're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing. Should be very, very exciting.
And that California Speedway has less than half the banking here at Daytona, and they're going to try and run it wide open. So it should be a very interesting race next Saturday night. 7 o'clock Eastern Time, ESPN2 is our coverage of that Nationwide Series race. Don't forget NASCAR Now throughout the week. And next weekend, our Sunday morning race review and preview at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. NHRA Nationals qualifying at Phoenix next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And the racing itself, the eliminations, next Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. That's what's coming up this week racing-wise on ESPN and ESPN2. So the NASCAR Nationwide Series season is begun. 10 months of racing now through Homestead Miami Speedway next November. The first trophy of the year goes to Tony Stewart as he wins today's Camping World 300 at the Daytona International Speedway. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll have NASCAR Now for you at 10 o'clock in the morning from here in Daytona, our Daytona 500 preview. And then tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN, a Daytona 500 recap, including a visit from the 500 winner. That's still to come tomorrow. from Speed Weeks here in Daytona Beach. For our entire ESPN NASCAR crew, Alan Bestwood, so long from Daytona. This has been a production of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Here we go. Hot damn, you should have